The divine blessing ceremony was supposed to be epic. Instead, the Ryan family's ultimate gamble crashed and burned spectacularly. Young Lucas stepped up clutching a legendary blade forged by Volcanus himself, the literal god of fire. Clink, the blade tapped the altar. The sky instantly changed colors and the crowd gasped, expecting a legendary jackpot blessing. Nope, searing flames exploded, his soul fried, the sacred sword turned to dust, and Lucas flatlined while his family cried in pure panic. Meanwhile, across the multiverse, our poor main character was getting shoved around in a miserable fatherless modern life. He worked tirelessly for his mom and sister, until bam, good old Truck Coon claimed another victim. Fading into the pavement coughing blood, he desperately threw out one final prayer to the universe. Next time, let me actually protect my family. Swoosh, his soul dipped out of his broken body straight into the crispy shell of Lucas. Up in the divine realm, the fire god threw a massive tantrum over his ruined sword, laughing that this new soul was total trash. But in the martial god's territory, the warrior spirits hyped him up completely differently. They claimed him as their own. Boom, they shotgun blasted him with the ultimate martial blessing, totally shattering the system level cap by mistake. Gasp. Lucas woke up with 2 lifetimes crashing in his brain, sweating bullets that he would be tossed out as a divine failure. Suddenly, Julia tackled him in a tearful hug. She sobbed that doctors basically declared him a goner. Gently patting her head, Lucas took a deep breath and locked in his new mission. Round 2 starts now. I will protect them all. Glaring up at the heavens, he sent a cheeky mental ping to the martial god for backup. Meanwhile, a terrifying demon babe stuck playing statue for centuries suddenly cracked her stone shell. Sniffing the air, she noticed the martial god's aura was completely gone. Dripping with ancient blood, she stretched her creepy demonic muscles. Her mana pool was sitting at basically 1%. But honestly, she did not give a single damn. With that annoying martial god out of the picture, this world was basically a free buffet for her and her minions. Fast forward 9 years, Lucas was casually strolling through the estate to grab his sister when a wild ambush suddenly appeared. Swish thorny vines completely wrapped him up, he sighed. There was literally only one annoying jerk who used this cheap trick, Jeremy. Jeremy was the family's stuck-up 4th child, a smug magic nerd rocking a level 5 blessing and Lucas's absolute headache of a half-brother. Even Jeremy's lackey was running his mouth, joking about how our main character was somehow still dodging eviction. Looking down his nose, Jeremy barked at Lucas to stay out of the VIP backyard, claiming it was strictly for magic users only. The brat actually threatened to snap a few of Lucas's bones just to teach him a painful little lesson, squeezing the vines tighter, but Lucas just yelled back, warning the idiot that Julia's magic class was over and she was incoming. You better drop me, Lucas smirked, unless you want to become extra crispy human barbecue. Jeremy flinched hard, but he quickly masked his fear, mocking Lucas for hiding behind a girl like a total scrub. Puffing his chest, the brat claimed he was not scared of a few little sparks. Crackle boom. Before he could finish bragging, a massive lightning bolt smote him. He shrieked like a banshee and face planted the dirt. The lackey squealed in pure terror. From the shadows, Julia stepped up with her staff glowing. Touch my brother again, and I will fry you. With a flick of her wrist, her magic sliced those annoying vines right off her big brother. Lucas gave his little sister a proud head pat. Meanwhile, crispy Jeremy finally managed to stagger back onto his feet. Take notes, Kid Lucas chuckled ruthlessly. Keep acting up, and next time you will be leaving in a literal body bag. The 2 cowards sprinted for their lives, but Jeremy still yelled out that classic villain line, I will remember this humiliation. Lucas just laughed. He nudged Julia, joking that she totally went easy on him since the rat could still run away. Once the coast was clear, Julia pouted, asking why he did not just wreck the guy himself. Shh, Lucas winked. My overpowered stats are our little secret. He jokingly poked her cheek. Besides, isn't it my badass little sister's job to protect her fragile older brother? Julia beamed with absolute pride. Smiling back, Lucas could not help but remember his very first chaotic day 9 years ago. When his imposing father walked in, Lucas had been sweating bullets, totally convinced he was getting booted out for being a massive disappointment. Plot twist, his terrifying dad crushed him in a bear hug, weeping that his precious boy survived. Turns out Duke Hull was the busy boss of a night order. He was always deployed, leaving 0 time for actual parenting at the estate. But despite the intimidating armor, he was basically a giant softie who loved his kids to absolute death. The second this doting dad heard Lucas picked up martial arts, boom, a super express delivery letter instantly arrived. How? It was jam-packed with every secret combat manual he would ever need to dominate. Holt tipped Lucas off about ancient martial arts manuals in the library, cheering him on. Sparked by this message, our boy hatched an absolutely insane master plan. For 6 straight months, he literally went underground. He carved a top-secret training bunker right beneath his bedroom, leaving the clueless maids wondering where he vanished. Whenever the ground shook, everyone just happily assumed some tryhard was practicing earth magic. This subterranean man cave had it all. 4 perfectly zoned rooms, a grand study, a hardcore training hall, a packed storage unit, and a sketchy DIY bathroom. Hey, priorities right. After blowing his entire allowance on high-tier training gear, he could only afford a ridiculously basic tub for his washroom. With his hidden dojo complete, Lucas went full hermit mode, grinding his stats every single day. His secret weapon, boiling himself like human soup in medicinal baths. It is painfully brutal, but hands down the most overpowered body refinement method. Fast forward 3 years, he religiously mastered a dusty tome he snagged from the library, the legendary Chaos Tempering Arts. The results were absolutely broken. His body became so ridiculously tanky that Tier 5 magic spells would just bounce right off. With his defense literally maxed out, our overpowered protagonist decided it was finally time to test his offensive firepower. Flash, he draws his blade, slicing the poor dummy with eye-watering speed. But wait, he is not just a swordsman, bring out the spear. Boom! With one thrust, that expensive dummy exploded into splinters, absolutely overpowered spear mastery. He had basically speedrun his way to spear mastery. Not satisfied yet, he cracked his knuckles and transitioned straight into hand-to-hand combat. 9 long years of non-stop grinding made him an absolute beast, but he was sweating over one tiny detail. Every crusty martial arts manual claimed the same depressing rule. Eventually, fighters hit a massive, unbreakable wall in their growth. The only way to smash through that ceiling, a magical concept known as enlightenment. Grasping enlightenment is incredibly hard. It is exactly why most martial artists end up rage quitting. That is exactly why nobody studies physical combat anymore, which is crazy, because brawlers should totally rival magic casters. But Lucas, he is simply built different. Bam. He obliterated a massive heavy-duty sandbag into absolute dust with one punch. Through pure, sweaty dedication, his brawling skills easily hit Tier 5. What ceiling? Our boy was glitching the system, leveling continuously. Basically, every single one of his combat stats was skyrocketing. He humbly chalked it all up to the martial god's blessing. Yeah, right, more like pure plot armor. Wrapping up his crazy workout, Lucas suddenly remembered, oh crap, his dad was returning today for an awkward family dinner. Scrubbed clean of his sweat, he hit the dining hall. His father beamed with a warm smile, shouting that it had been 6 whole months. Dad happily motioned for him to sit. Lucas chilled out, completely ignoring his brother Jeremy, who was practically boiling with jealousy. Holt dropped a massive bombshell. The prestigious Allen Magic Academy was opening a brawler department, and Dad had already submitted Lucas's application. Acknowledging the brutal path of physical combat, Holt threw his full support behind his boy, hyping Lucas up to crush the upcoming entrance exams. Hiding his overpowered secret, Lucas smiled warmly, thanking his dad. But beneath that calm face, a blazing resolve. No matter what crazy world he was in, he would fiercely protect his precious peace. Hilariously though, his main goal was just flying under the radar. Being an overpowered main character brings way too much annoying drama. Out of nowhere, little sister Julia fiercely shoots her hand up. She demanded to crash the Magic Academy alongside her big bro. Holt chuckled at her adorable ambition, gently reminding the tiny powerhouse that she was only 11 years old. Way too young for normal enrollment, but Julia smirked, dropping the fact that the ultra-elite course had absolutely 0 age limits. Bam! She flexed a shiny official acceptance letter straight from the academy, proving she was already scouted as a prodigy. Holt's jaw hit the floor, but honestly, it made sense. His daughter's freakish magical talent was already famous across the entire continent. Their mother smiled like a proud goddess, declaring that the Ryan bloodline was about to birth an absolute monster of a mage. Julia unleashed an adorable villain laugh. Meanwhile, poor Jeremy was practically foaming with pure salty envy. Dad raised a glass to both kids, but Jeremy was mentally screaming. Why was plain old Lucas getting royal treatment for being a supposed nobody? Sensing the raging saltiness, Mom gracefully patted Jeremy, trying to cool his erupting temper. She whispered a brutal reality check. There was absolutely no guarantee that a scrub like Lucas would even survive the exam. A week flew by. Lucas and Julia stood ready for the academy. Mom lovingly nagged him to stay safe, promising a campus visit very soon. As a parting gift, she handed him his old man's incredibly suspicious lucky coin. This was an ancient relic from the legendary Martial Fortune dynasty that conquered the globe 10,000 years ago. Holt had looted it straight off a slain magical beast. The front proudly displayed the totally badass face of Mars, the very first emperor, and carved right onto the back, the mythic weapons used to conquer the world. The truth hit Lucas like a truck. Mars was the literal martial spirit god. Before heading out, Holt made him swear to guard that coin with his life. Honestly, our boy hit the reincarnation jackpot. 2 lifetimes, 2 absolutely top-tier families. Talk about protagonist privileges. Hours into their journey, Fordon the butler called for a pit stop. With dusk approaching, pitching tents in a nearby clearing was their best bet. Over a crackling campfire dinner, the butler dropped the itinerary. Next stop, the illustrious Dacktown. It was the holy land of their new academy. An early morning departure meant they would hit the city gates by tomorrow night. Julia's eyes sparkled with curiosity. She immediately bugged Fordon for the local gossip. Any fun tourist traps in Dacktown? Oh, absolutely. Fordon grinned, revealing the city's main event. Every spring, they host a wildly chaotic, explosive, magical dodgeball tournament. Better yet, it was a culinary paradise. Cue Julia instantly short-circuiting a waterfall of drool escaping as she pictured a glorious, endless buffet. But suddenly, Lucas's internal danger alarms blared. His overpowered senses spiked. Ping 12 horses, 13 heavily armed goons, sprinting right toward them from 2 kilometers out. Lucas casually asked about the local bandit spawn rate. Fordon shrugged, claiming encounters were super rare around here. Little did the butler know Lucas's broken chaos-tempering arts acted like a literal cheat code radar. With his ridiculously heightened perception, there was zero margin for error. Trouble was definitely coming. Running the numbers, Lucas realized they were hopelessly outgunned. Time for a tactical big-brain play. Springing up, he barked at Fordon to brace for impact. A highly aggressive mob was practically breathing down their necks. Their escorting soldiers scoffed at the dead silence. They figured the young master was just trying to pull a prank. Fordon was equally baffled. Still recognizing his duty, he drew his steel and ordered everyone to battle stations. Paranoid, maybe. But surviving in a fantasy world meant playing it safe rather than becoming monster food. Cue the dramatic entrance. Sweaty bandits crashed through the bushes, leaving the mocking guards entirely speechless. The head thug practically drooled over his new loot, treating our main character's party like free experience points. Spotting the 2 squishy nobles cowering in the back line, the raiders locked onto their VIP targets. Fordon furiously threatened them with noble wrath, but the outlaw boss just laughed in his face. Rules. What rules? Slaughter the guards, kidnap the brats, he ordered. Fordon's aura flared as the ultimate defensive line formed up. The guards actually held the front line. Fordon even delivered a flawless, clean decapitation to a thug who stepped too close. Julia desperately wanted to cast some backup magic, but Fordon fiercely ordered her to stay put. The good guys were pushing the mob back. Still playing it safe, Fordon desperately ordered Lucas to evacuate Julia. Boom. A sudden inferno roasted the frontline guards. Surprise, the bandit boss was a mage, instantly shattering their entire defense plan. Panic hijacked Fordon's heart. Terrified for the kids' lives, he roared at the young master. Grab Julia and run into the woods, now. But looking away was a fatal error. A bandit's blade brutally slashed Fordon's chest, completely crippling his combat prowess. The mage grinned, promising a slow, fiery death as revenge. But Themurgen, he just glared back, fully prepared to die, shielding the children. Meanwhile, our overpowered protagonist assessed the rapidly crumbling situation. With an enemy spellcaster on the field, the wounded butler was mathematically doomed. Lucas hated revealing his hidden stats, but Fordon wasn't just staff. His endless kindness made him absolute family. And rule number 1 of being a badass protagonist: you never let your found family bite the dust. He ordered Julia to stay hidden while he handled the trash. She gave a tense, trusting nod. Lucas finally stepped into the arena. Meanwhile, the bleeding butler was still miraculously parrying strikes from the massive mob, but stamina has its limits. Fordon's legs finally gave out, sending him crashing down. A sneaky thug lunged for the execution strike, but mid-air, pop, the bandit's head completely vanished into bloody mist. The villains froze in sheer horror. Pop pop, invisible supersonic projectiles started popping their heads off like bubble wrap. Panic erupted as the phantom sniper struck from the shadows. Spoiler alert, it was all our boy Lucas. Thank goodness he had secretly grinded his Gale Strike skill to level 4. Who knew? Tossing rocks at pigeons was valid training. With those maxed out stats, one-shotting a low-tier bandit with a literal pebble was painfully easy. Absolutely raging at his wiped-out squad, the mage boss charged up a massive blazing fireball to execute the butler. Fordon watched helplessly as the lethal inferno barreled right toward his face. Fordon's legs finally gave out. With a mysterious savior stepping up to shield the kids, the exhausted old man closed his eyes, welcoming a well-deserved rest. Boom. Lucas materialized instantly in the fireball's path, swatting the blazing inferno away like a pesky fly. Fordon's jaw absolutely hit the floor. The bandit boss blinked in pure disbelief. His ultimate spell completely erased. Still clinging to his arrogant pride, he hurriedly began chanting his next deadly attack. But his free trial of life had officially expired. Lucas closed the distance in a flash, delivering a devastating chest strike that absolutely pulverized the villain. As the dust settled on the bandit's absolute defeat, Fordon was left questioning his own sanity and everything he thought he knew. A mere kid obliterating a high-tier mage, in Fordon's mind, this completely defied the fundamental laws of common sense. Meanwhile, Lucas simply turned around and flashed a cheeky grin. "Looks like I have a little knack for martial arts," he chuckled casually. But before they could properly celebrate this epic victory, a spine-chilling aura crept up the back of their necks. Disgusting squelches echoed as the bandits' shattered remains forcefully stitched together. They rapidly morphed into a horrifying, blood-curdling monstrosity. Lucas took one look at the hideous beast and panicked. Not out of fear, but because his precious little sister absolutely could not see this ugly thing. Springing into action to protect her innocent eyes, he delivered a lightning-fast hook, but shockingly his fist bounced right off its thick rubbery hide. The abomination roared instantly, retaliating with a deadly barrage of bone spikes. Lucas swiftly backflipped out of the danger zone. Then came the truly nauseating part. The creature began devouring its fallen comrades, absorbing their flesh to massively boost its demonic power. What kind of freakish mutation is this? Lucas activated his all-seeing eyes, instantly spotting the glowing dark crest acting as the monster's puppet strings. Within seconds, the beast ballooned into a towering four-legged behemoth. Since brute force was utterly useless here, it was time to switch up the battle strategy. He suddenly channeled blazing explosive chi through his entire body. With a ground-shattering leap, he drove a devastating energy-packed strike straight into the beast. A blinding eruption of golden light completely swallowed the arena. The radiant energy utterly vaporized the creature and instantly shattered its dark, demonic core. With the monstrous threat finally erased from existence, our exhausted hero dramatically plopped down to desperately catch his breath. Big brother Julia sprinted over, trapping him in a massive, adorable bear hug. She showered him with starry-eyed praise for crushing those nasty villains. Meanwhile, Fordon was practically a buffering statue. His poor brain had completely short-circuited from the sheer absurdity of the battle. The chaotic silence was suddenly broken by the frantic neighing of a bandit's horse, snapping everyone right back to reality. They turned around and gasped. A young girl was tightly bound to the saddle. Meanwhile, far away, the ancient demon from 9 years ago sensed her minion's embarrassing defeat. The dark entity paused in the shadows, mildly annoyed and wondering who dared to crush her little pawn, but she quickly brushed it off. Getting revenge could wait because fully restoring her terrifying dark powers was her absolute top priority right now. Cutting back to the rescue squad, Julia gently untied their new companion, discovering the terrified girl was named Maya Rasta. Rasta Fordon stroked his beard, finding the noble surname incredibly familiar. Julia nodded eagerly, realizing she had definitely heard that fancy name before too. Lucas tapped his chin thoughtfully. Weren't the Rasta and Ryan families prominent nobles bordering Dacktown? Julia snapped her fingers, confirming her smart brother was spot on. With gentle concern, Julia asked why such a high-class lady was targeted. Trembling and fighting back tears, Maya began to recount her absolute nightmare. Just hours ago, heavily armed thugs had ambushed her royal carriage. They ruthlessly slaughtered her guards, and her loyal maid met a deeply tragic end while trying to shield her. She had desperately screamed out her noble status, hoping to buy her freedom, but those cold-blooded monsters had not cared in the slightest. A chilling realization settled over the group. This was not a random robbery. Their sinister operation was explicitly designed to kidnap high-ranking noble children. Julia softly patted her trembling shoulders. "It is okay now. You are safe," she whispered warmly. "Those awful men have already been sent to the afterlife." Deep into the night, with the girls finally fast asleep, Lucas pulled Fordon aside. What was his true read on Maya's terrifying roadside ambush? The old man sighed heavily. These were not amateur thugs. They were calculated predators who had clearly been hunting noble heirs for quite some time. Lucas narrowed his eyes dangerously. Bandits wielding high-tier magic and commanding the undead. He suspected a powerful demon was secretly pulling their filthy strings from the shadows. Fordon confidently waved off the concern. He promised to escalate this entire dark conspiracy to whole, ensuring the proper authorities would handle the heavy lifting. Plus, rescuing their precious daughter meant the influential Rasta family would definitely owe them a massive favor when things eventually hit the fan. But our pragmatic hero was not taking any chances. Lucas leaned in close, proposing a foolproof strategy to dodge any upcoming dramatic headaches. Dawn broke as the party finally rolled into Dacktown. Immediately overprotective brother mode activated. Lucas strictly banned any fun sightseeing to maintain a low profile. With rogue bandits potentially lurking in every shadow, he declared they were taking a direct, non-stop express route straight to the absolute safety of the Magic Academy. Julia's face instantly deflated into an adorable pout. Lucas gently patted her head, pleading with her to understand that her and Maya's safety came absolutely first. Maya completely agreed with the cautious survival plan, but Julia crossed her arms perfectly, maintaining her grumpy little dark cloud. Unable to resist his sister's sad puppy eyes, Lucas desperately played his ultimate trap card. He promised to buy her the entire gourmet district once they safely passed through. Instantly, Julia's gloomy mood vanished into sunshine. Maya watched their hilarious sibling dynamic with absolute awe. Smiling, Fordon suggested throwing open the carriage windows to soak in the bustling city vibes. Julia practically threw the window open, her eyes shining with pure wonder as the breathtaking magical architecture of Dacktown finally revealed itself to them. Even Maya marvels at the buzzing streets. Secretly, Lucas nods in agreement, nostalgic for the exact same vibrant energy from his past life's bustling metropolis. They explore the lively food district. Like a legendary big brother, Lucas spoils his sister with every tasty treat she desires. Reaching the Grand Academy gates, Fordon halts, announcing his escort duty is over. With unwavering confidence, Lucas assures him, "Rest easy, I will guard Julia with my life." Bouncing with adorable excitement, Julia chirps that she will be the one protecting him instead. Playing along, Lucas dramatically declares he is counting on her immense power. Feigning tearful eyes, he bids a heartfelt farewell to their escorts. Meanwhile, Maya simply beams. She is absolutely thrilled to have crossed paths with such an endlessly entertaining brother-sister duo. In a shocking twist the previous night, Fordon had confessed that the lovely Maya was actually his childhood bride-to-be. Tragically, that fateful marriage pact crumbled the moment Lucas was labeled a talentless dud. Standing proudly south of Daktown, the legendary Allen Magic Academy reigns supreme as one of the Carmina Empire's top 3 elite institutions. Every fresh-faced rookie must survive a brutal evaluation exactly 1 year after stepping inside. Based on those scores, destinies are forged. Students are sorted by elemental affinity into the earth, fire, wind, water, or the mysterious special department. Survive the grueling 6-year academic gauntlet, and you earn the coveted title of an official mage. Naturally, absolute geniuses reap glorious top-tier school privileges. Better yet, prodigies who conquer the mage exams early can completely bypass the 6-year grind and graduate instantly. Meanwhile, the dynamic duo stands inside the massive school plaza. Julia pouts, adorably bummed out about Mia's departure. Mia had finally reunited with her own family, shattering Julia's dream of conquering the entrance exams together. Lucas, conversely, wears a warm smile, genuinely thrilled for Mia's wholesome family reunion. He feels immense relief knowing she is completely safe from danger now. He gently reassures his pouting sister. "Once we all pass, we will be classmates every single day, so do not worry." Hearing this infallible logic, Julia's dazzling smile instantly returns. They gleefully explore the busy plaza. Julia's overwhelming cuteness instantly captivates the entire plaza crowd. But suddenly, their path is blocked by Mina, the icy cool vice president of the school's student council. Radiating elite coolness, Mina is instantly bewitched by the little girl. "Did you just follow your big brother here?" she asks softly. "Nope, I am taking the test too," Julia proudly declares. Mina's stoic composure shatters, a child taking the brutal entrance exams. The realization hits her like lightning. "Are you the legendary Ryan family prodigy?" she gasps. Julia blinks in pure shock, wondering how this stranger knows her true identity. Flashing a mysterious smirk, Mina promises all will be revealed soon. She gently offers to personally escort the tiny genius straight to the registration desk. Meanwhile, Lucas stands there utterly dumbfounded. The vice president literally treated him like an invisible phantom, not speaking a single word to him. Thankfully, Julia quickly reminds Mina that her invisible big brother needs to register too. A cold sweat drops. Mina had completely forgotten that Lucas even existed. Whirling around in sheer panic, she awkwardly stammers about his crazy choice to enter the martial arts department. Those words echo across the plaza. The surrounding snobs immediately erupt into mocking laughter, calling Lucas a total moron for picking physical combat. A meathead studying punches at a magic academy. How pathetic, a random extra jeers loudly. Lucas raises an eyebrow, slightly amused. So, the arrogant prejudice against warriors exists even here. These spellcasters might act like absolute gods, but he knows the brutal truth. They are just incredibly fragile glass cannons. He smirks with absolute superiority. If it came to a real brawl, every single mage here would be crushed like pathetic little bugs. Honestly, this legendary master would never waste his time at school if his parents had not practically begged him to attend. Realizing her loud mouth just triggered a mob of bullies, Mina's face flushes with immense guilt. Desperate to fix her blunder, she quickly orders Lucas to tag along. She promises to personally guide him to the testing grounds right after registration. This takes our hero by surprise. Unlike these snobbish extras, this icy vice president actually possesses a genuinely kind heart. Jaws drop everywhere. The arrogant haters are absolutely stunned to see Mina casually helping this guy. A few minutes later, paperwork is swapped. Mina smoothly hands the sibling duo their glowing magical emblems. "Your digital candidate numbers are sealed inside," she explains. "Wear them proudly into the arena. Prepare yourselves. There are 3 grueling trials ahead. Trial number 1. Using magic light to completely measure their absolute magical potential. Trial number 2. The sacred compatibility test. Calling upon powerful elemental spirits to reveal which magic suits you best. The final test uses training dummies to measure raw magical destruction." Lucas asks if martial artists share this exam, getting a nod. Mina claims every department takes the exact same test for fairness. Fairness? Yeah, right. If the academy truly cared, they would have designed a totally separate exam just for the martial arts track. Still, Lucas is completely unfazed. He plans to flex just enough power to crush their anti-martial arts bias. Soon they arrive at the flashy potential measurement zone. Candidates must place their palms firmly against the magical evaluation orb. Lucas touches the orb and boom, absolute zero. The examiner literally gasps, witnessing a hilariously tragic anomaly seen once every millennium. Instantly, the peanut gallery of snooty magic students bursts into loud, ruthless mocking. but Lucas just smirks. This flawless, pathetic rating was totally expected. Julia steps up next. The crystal instantly erupts in brilliant purple, signaling a massive potential score of 7 out of 10. The stunned examiner declares she will definitely rank at the very top of this year's batch. While the crowd loses their minds, Lucas just grins. He knows exactly what his little sister can do. Actually, he knows her true limits. He casually whispers for her to stop holding back her real power. Julia nods and unleashes a terrifying mana wave. The orb violently shifts to blinding gold, leaving everyone utterly paralyzed. The examiner sweats bullets. A golden light appeared 2 years ago, but that genius was vastly older than little Julia. Finished flexing, Julia excitedly skips back to her brother with a bright smile, demanding praise for her epic performance. Giving her warm head pats, Lucas calls her amazing, confidently declaring she is destined to become a legendary archmage someday. Amidst their wholesome sibling celebration, a nearby snob starts throwing shade directly at Lucas. The hater sneers, calling him a completely talentless piece of trash leeching off his genius mage sister. His panicked buddy slaps a hand over his mouth. If that monster sister hears them, they are practically dead meat. Lucas happily eavesdrops. Perfect. With Julia hogging the glittering spotlight, he can finally enjoy the ultimately lazy background character life. For 3 long years, he tirelessly upgraded Julia's latent magical talent. Now his hidden brotherly efforts are gloriously paying off. With potential testing wrapped up, the squad moves to the spirit hut. Lucas senses his ultimate master plan is finally blooming. Here, the examiners announce a highly anticipated magical elemental compatibility test. Like bees to honey, every spirit frantically swarms Julia, dropping the jaws of every watching student. A salty prodigy with a level 6 wind blessing whines because 0 wind spirits bothered visiting him during his own turn. Because the spirits are literally fighting over her, the crowd realizes she has absolute compatibility with all magical elements. Plot twist. Lucas secretly engineered a god-tier mana circulation technique just for her, forcibly dragging her latent potential to the absolute ceiling. Despite only being level 2, Lucas knows she has flexed hard enough today. Her passing the rigorous academy entrance exam is utterly guaranteed. The awestruck examiner shouts out Julia's compatibility score of 90, absolutely crushing all other examinees' records. Soaking up the praise, Julia turns around only to flinch. The jealous crowd is giving her some incredibly toxic death glares. Panicking, the poor genius hides behind her big brother, whining about the intensely creepy stares from the salty mob. Lucas chuckles, explaining that heaven-defying geniuses are tragically bound to attract an ocean of bitter haters. He coolly tells her not to sweat the small stuff, advising her to wear that legendary status with absolute pride. Fired up, Julia solemnly vows to grow ridiculously strong just to protect her seemingly weak older brother. Internally sweating, Lucas realizes his fragile little sister desperately needs a serious crash course in mental toughness. While worshipping Julia's godlike talent, the brutal crowd simultaneously roasts Lucas for being completely useless. During his own test, the elemental spirits treated him like toxic waste, refusing to even float anywhere near him. However, one eagle-eyed extra wildly whispers to his friend about a terrifying backstage anomaly. He swears on his life that after Lucas approached, a literal fire spirit somehow got its tiny fiery arm violently amputated. His skeptical buddy laughs it off as pure hallucination. Spirits are microscopic, so spotting a tiny severed ghost hand flying is absolutely impossible. Lucas raises an amused eyebrow that someone actually witnessed his brutal little hidden trick. That extra was totally right. The fiery little punks gave him attitude, so he delivered some terrifying martial arts discipline. The fire god's rejection definitely stung. As Lucas turned to leave, a petty spirit actually spat on him out of pure spite. But Lucas delivered a brutal lesson in humility, casually ripping its arm off with a mere pebble. With the compatibility test finally wrapped up, Lucas points them toward the ultimate testing ground. He casually nudges Julia, wondering if she will snatch the crown of first place again. Julia flashes a humble grin, claiming the top spot is hers, unless her overpowered big brother actually tries. Smirking, Lucas insists he will hold back. Why? Because he fully expects his little sister to be his fiercely loyal bodyguard. They soon reach the destruction testing arena where rows of intimidating metal dummies await their doom. Lucas catches a random student bragging, plotting to obliterate the dummy just to steal Julia's guaranteed first place. A bystander whispers that Julia might completely shatter the target, but the arrogant guy scoffs at such absolute nonsense. He smugly lectures that these enchanted metal dummies can flawlessly tank any strike below the legendary cursed tier. In his totally delusional mind, there is zero chance a kid like Julia packs that kind of explosive firepower. Lucas casually inspects the targets, silently acknowledging their surprisingly solid craftsmanship. This is the absolute perfect punching bag to safely test his level 6 technique. He finally admits school is not so bad. After all, where else can he joyride with outrageously expensive magical equipment? Suddenly an angry commotion erupts behind them. Students are desperately yelling at a new girl to respect the line. The newcomer simply flares her magic. Her terrifying glare unleashes an overwhelming aura that instantly freezes the protester's soul. Stomping over to our sibling duo, she carelessly blasts Julia with a suffocating wave of pure psychological dread. Trembling, Julia instantly ducks behind Lucas, whispering that this new girl is an absolute nightmare. Lucas demands her name, and she proudly declares herself Iowa Miranda, the mighty Duke's granddaughter. The puzzle pieces instantly click. The Miranda clan rules the frozen north as one of 3 great houses, famous for birthing a truly legendary mage, which hilariously means this arrogant brat is his mother's little brother's precious daughter. Realizing their bloodline, Lucas casually asks her age. With a ridiculously stern pout, she proudly announces she is 15. Lucas chuckles, telling her to drop the intense predator glare since they are literally blood cousins. Iowa gasps in total disbelief. No one ever mentioned a cousin. Furious, she plots to publicly humiliate this supposed relative. She fires her mental magic, hoping to force his absolute submission. But Lucas stands perfectly still. He casually scolds her for daring to brainwash her own newly discovered family. Smirking, he brutally roasts her. Is this the absolute garbage manners the mighty Miranda family teaches? Iowa's jaw hits the floor. Her ultimate signature spell was just effortlessly swatted away like a totally annoying fly. Internally, Lucas just laughs at her flimsy magic, trying to shatter a martial god's iron will. Suddenly the examiner calls his name. Once Lucas leaves, Iowa heavily glares at Julia. She warns the little girl not to celebrate, vowing to ruthlessly snatch that first-place crown. Glancing at the scoreboard, Lucas connects the dots. Iowa is sitting in second place, officially declaring a magical turf war against Julia. Sighing, Lucas knows he must crash this party. He fiercely protects his peaceful daily life and Julia's rightful throne. He sneaks back to Julia, offering a mysterious sweet treat. Her eyes sparkle, anticipating a totally delicious sugar rush. Instead, an absolutely horrific bitter taste explodes in her mouth. Lucas just gently pats her trembling head. He grins, explaining it is a ridiculously rare magical elixir crafted from legendary hidden ingredients. He promises she will feel its explosive power soon. An annoyed examiner loudly summons Lucas back into the grand testing arena. Stepping up to the plate, the strict examiner orders Lucas to unleash his absolute maximum magical energy. This single strike of destructive fury will entirely determine his ultimate final ranking. Completely devoid of mana, Lucas casually asks if a simple physical punch is legally allowed. The entire crowd erupts into absolute hysterical laughter. This complete fool actually thinks mere fists can dent enchanted metal. They mock martial arts as filthy barbaric trash. One arrogant snob loudly bets Lucas will just pathetically shatter his own hand. Hearing the insults, Julia shoots them a terrifying side-eye, instantly freezing the bullies in absolute sheer panic. Julia boils with hidden rage. If Lucas hadn't ordered her to play nice, she would gladly mop the floor with these absolute clowns. Suddenly, Iowa wildly demands the truth. How could a magically crippled loser effortlessly brush off her ultimate psychological strike? Julia fiercely defends him to Iowa. Sure, he lacks magic, but her big bro is completely legendary. But Iowa just scoffs. She is fully convinced this guy is a massive attention-seeking fraud. Martial artists are absolute trash here, but suddenly, boom, an earth-shattering explosion shakes the entire arena, leaving the crowd completely speechless. Just 2 minutes prior, the proctor gave him free rein to attack absolutely however he wanted. Lucas nods. He calculates just the perfect amount of force to barely pass the annoying test. Taking his stance, he blasts forward wham. A casual straight punch absolutely launches the dummy across the field. It violently crashes into the far wall, instantly flashing a blinding golden light from its head. Iowa's jaw drops straight to the floor. His raw physical speed literally rivaled high-tier wind magic. Plus, that golden glow, that signifies absolute first-class destructive power. The entire crowd is totally glitching out. A magicless loser doing damage. Impossible. Iowa suddenly realizes she alone witnessed his terrifying true strength. She watches him play completely dumb. This absolutely overpowered guy is actually trying to fly under the radar. The clueless proctor blames a broken machine. Still, he casually hands Lucas a flawless perfect score anyway. Lucas happily accepts his grade. Then he innocently asks where to dump the wrecked training target. The proctor heavily waves him off. It is way too dense for a human, so they will move it using magic later. Mission totally accomplished. Lucas flashes a cheeky peace sign at the camera, fully believing he nailed the low-key act. He successfully secured his academic spot without exposing even a fraction of his monstrous power. The exams continue, and the crowd completely forgets Lucas as Julia steps up to steal the total spotlight. Taking the stage, Julia unleashes a massive storm of red lightning, a terrifying force rivaled only by golden thunder. The students are completely mesmerized. Some literally pray to reach her epic level before they even graduate. After that insane display, Julia slumps down, totally overwhelmed by her own crazy sudden power-up. The examiner steps forward, loudly announcing her absolute god-tier score of 9.5. Bouncing back to her brother, she excitedly babbles about her sudden crimson lightning upgrade. Her absolute limit used to be purple sparks. This new blazing red energy is on a totally different level. Plot twist, it was entirely thanks to Lucas's sketchy pill, but he totally keeps his mouth shut about it. See, in this fantasy realm, both magic users and brawlers have their own wild drug crafting arts. Mages brew fancy magical potions while martial artists practice the ancient hardcore art of pill refining. Potions require annoying mediums, but martial pills, you just pop them for instant explosive power boosts. Back in the Golden Age, pills were everywhere. But with martial arts dying out, pill refining became a practically dead skill. Finding a fighter who can craft a miraculous stat-boosting treasure like that is basically like finding a unicorn. Why? Because a warrior must actually reach the mythical level 6 just to attempt crafting one. In the entire massive empire, only one single old monster besides Lucas can actually make these. Enter Duke Retuzan, the lone level 9 legend. Even arrogant supreme mages literally grovel at his feet for these magical cheat codes. If word leaks out that a teenager can cook these up, total catastrophic absolute pandemonium. Thus his lips are totally sealed. Later the exhausted siblings finally crash on a nearby wooden bench. Lucas gently pats her head. Real sleep is coming soon, right after they survive the whole class placement ceremony. Out of nowhere, Mina randomly drops in. Lucas blinks, wondering what this hyper-upperclassman wants now. Pinning up the placement board, Mina beams. She loudly announces they completely swept first place in their respective divisions. Julia does an absolutely massive victory dance. Lucas smirks, telling his genius sister he is totally relying on her now. Suddenly, Mina leans in close. She asks which elemental department Julia plans to totally dominate next year, confusing her. Mina eagerly drops some academy lore. There are 5 main tracks: Earth, Fire, Wind, Water, and the mysterious special class. After surviving freshman year, every single student faces another brutal trial to lock in their final major. Julia taps her chin thoughtfully. Given her insane electrical powers, the wind department sounds like a total perfect fit. Mina practically explodes with joy. After all, Julia literally holds the mighty thunder, God's epic blessing. Grabbing Julia by the shoulders, Mina violently shakes her. She screams that the wind department is eagerly awaiting her arrival. Lucas just sweat drops in the background. The aggressive war to recruit his overpowered little sister has officially begun. Mina excitedly volunteers to escort Julia to the girls' dormitory. Julia warmly bids her brother farewell, promising they will catch up later. Lucas waves goodbye, trusting Mina to protect his sister. With that settled, he bravely heads toward the infamous martial arts dormitory. Meanwhile, a stunned Iowa checks the rankings, realizing Julia crushed first place. But her competitive spirit burns bright. She swears she will totally steal that #1 spot in the coming years. Soon, Lucas approaches the legendary martial arts department. Expectations were low, but this crumbling rat hole absolutely destroys them. He stares in utter disbelief, wondering if humans can actually survive in this decaying nightmare without it instantly collapsing. Looking on the bright side, Lucas figures this absolute dump guarantees a peaceful, completely bother-free existence. Entering the ruins, he immediately bumps into a hyperactive white-haired guy. The dude eagerly introduces himself as Kai Toroi, a fellow martial arts student. After a quick handshake, an unfazed Lucas casually approaches the front desk, just trying to sign his life away. But Kai sticks to him like glue, fanboying super hard over how epic Lucas punched that test dummy. Lucas completely downplays it, humbly claiming it was nothing but pure dumb luck. The deadpan attendant then assigns both of them to room 205. Roommates. While Kai is absolutely thrilled about this dorm life bonding, Lucas is already mentally calculating his escape plan. Walking through the cursed lobby, they are absolutely horrified by how much worse the interior looks. Reaching their room, tragedy strikes again. They must share this tiny space with 2 extra dudes, Collins and Sharp. To make matters worse, the room is an absolute disaster zone. Did wild boars literally live here? Kai violently pinches his nose in disgust, practically fainting when a massive spider casually dangles from the wall. Completely triggered by the filth, Kai aggressively whips out a shiny gold coin, offering it to anyone who cleans. Without a single second of hesitation, Collins and Sharp volunteer for extreme cleaning duty. Lucas totally expected this reaction. Since Collins and Sharp are humble commoners, that shiny gold goes a seriously long way. Plot twist, the Toroi family actually rules as one of the 3 great northern noble houses. While the commoner duo frantically scrubs, Kai loudly vents his noble frustration. He totally never signed up for dump life. Lucas attempts damage control, calmly reassuring the rich kid that this famous academy must eventually improve their awful living conditions. Kai nods, finally relaxing. But suddenly, another giant spider drops right beside his head. He instantly unleashes a high-pitched scream, crying that this miserable dorm is literally a medieval prison. Soon enough, the cleaning duo finishes the impossible job. True to his word, Kai hands over the cash, even tipping Lucas. Arrogant or not, you definitely have to admit, the dramatic rich kid drops serious cash. Just then, the deadpan attendant delivers their official uniforms. He quickly hurries them to change for the grand entrance ceremony. Kai's blood pressure instantly skyrockets again. Their supposed official uniforms are just filthy, tattered rags. Meanwhile, Collins and Sharp think these trashy rags actually look incredible. Lucas totally baits Kai, smoothly lying that the school has a lovely complaint system. If they march over there, they can totally demand better luxury clothes. Fired up by this fake news, Kai practically sprints toward the hall, ready to dramatically complain. Lucas mentally facepalms. This rich kid is incredibly gullible. The ragtag squad finally enters the hall. Collins is totally mesmerized by the extreme luxury, while Kai arrogantly flexes that his mansion is way cooler. Meanwhile, Lucas casually scans the crowd for his sister. Noticing his search, Kai points out the VIP front row, casually explaining that is where the elite core genius students sit. Kai loudly points out their shiny high-tier uniforms. He urges Lucas to visit her right now since the garbage-tier martial arts section is exiled miles away from the stage. Lucas shakes his head, leading his noisy squad to their seats. Honestly, he feels super proud seeing his sister rocking that shiny prestige uniform. After sitting down, Lucas spots a mysterious girl nearby, surprisingly stuck in the exact same trash-tier martial arts section as them. Suddenly, the student council president Theod Formal makes an insanely flashy and dramatically cool entrance. He instantly commands the room, passionately introducing the harsh school point system. The entire crowd collectively fanboys over his majestic aura, hitting level 6 before graduation. The dude is an absolute legendary genius. Theod grabs the mic dramatically, declaring that academy points are literally the lifeblood of absolute survival here. They control everything: magic skills, legendary books, loyal beasts, and ridiculously rare crafting materials. Every single perk, even legendary master guidance, costs sweet academy points. He breaks down the grim reality of the grind. Manual labor is an absolute scam, paying out a highly pathetic 1 to 5 points an hour. Forget scrubbing floors, the real jackpot lies in crashing the various departmental events instead. Case in point, today's freshman orientation is basically a massive, highly lucrative gold rush for the cunning upperclassmen. Mina's sudden kindness finally makes perfect sense to Lucas Theod. Further adds that securing a prestigious student council seat guarantees a phenomenally stable monthly point income. We are talking a massive 500 points for the president, 200 for the vice president, and a solid 100 points for the regular members. And for the absolute lunatics, he mentions the high-risk, high-reward path of brutal monster hunting. Turns out, a lethal magical beast mountain range sits conveniently in the academy's backyard. It is practically crawling with hordes of nightmarish creatures. Slay the beasts, harvest their monster parts, and trade them in for a massive point payout, Theod explains. Lucas's eyes instantly sparkle. To this total battle maniac, it sounds exactly like a personal all-you-can-beat buffet. A few hours later, Lucas lights up some heavy-duty tranquility incense, completely knocking out his unsuspecting roommates into a deep slumber so he can execute a stealthy midnight escape. Sprinting toward the hunting grounds, with his blood pumping in sheer excitement, his path is unfortunately blocked by a massive, towering perimeter wall. But mere bricks cannot stop a fiercely determined, experience-hungry Lucas. He casually vaults over the towering obstacle, touching down inside the ominous forest with an eager, battle-hungry grin. His first victim is a horned frog. Lucas playfully bullies the poor critter before ruthlessly ripping its horn out, leaving the monster completely paralyzed. These toxic black horns are heavily sought after as a premium ingredient for high-grade magical potion brewing, meaning this little amphibian is basically a walking jackpot of sweet academy points. You see, our protagonist recently discovered the academy's hidden stash of legendary martial arts manuals. To claim those mythical combat techniques once wielded by the legendary martial god, he desperately needs to farm absolute mountains of points. Running on borrowed time, Lucas immediately scans the dense forest to map out the monster turf efficiently. Thanks to his insanely broken ocular powers, every nearby mob lights up. First on the menu is a roaming level 1 shell mouse. Next is a cyclops bat and a magic crest leopard, but to Lucas, they are just minor annoyances, getting absolutely stomped with zero effort. Every single beast gets effortlessly wiped out, instantly filling his inventory with a massive mountain of glorious monster loot. This huge haul guarantees enough sweet points to finally purchase those rare Dan refining ingredients he desperately desires. Yet this bloodbath feels way too easy. Lucas frowns as dead silence swallows the forest. The absolute lack of lower-tier monster traces here screams one obvious terrifying truth. An apex predator claims this exact territory. Pushing his terrifying senses to the absolute maximum, he quickly detects a massive, ominous presence lurking inside a cavern. The monster violently senses him too, but our resident battle maniac simply grins and sprints a full kilometer straight toward the lethal danger. Arriving at the lair, a towering level 6 Icefire wolf emerges, radiating a pure, suffocating aura of absolute death. Ah, a lone wolf. No wonder this overgrown puppy was fiercely guarding its precious blood-stained hunting grounds. But Lucas lives for this thrill. He explosively launches forward while the furious canine retaliates by meeting him halfway with freezing breath. This instantly freezes his right arm solid. Surprisingly, this cannot stop a determined Lucas. He ruthlessly drives a devastating punch straight into the wolf's jaw, sending the beast rocketing backward. Still, Lucas clicks his tongue in sheer disappointment. He wanted to punch a gaping hole straight through its body, not merely send it flying. Thrilled to use the beast for training, Lucas arrogantly taunts the overgrown mutt to stand back up, knowing this fight is far from over. Enraged, the alpha beast scrambles up and unleashes a hellish inferno, instantly swallowing our hero in a blazing sea of fire. It relentlessly spews scorching flames for several minutes on end, making absolutely sure its human prey burns into ashes. Confident in its fiery barbecue, the beast raises its snout for a triumphant howl, until a chilling shadow suddenly materializes right behind its back. Before the monster can even flinch, Lucas strikes. He delivers a devastatingly close-range punch, heavily imbued with pure martial chi. The earth-shattering impact violently caves in the beast's ribs, making it vomit fresh blood as it blasts backward like a massive fleshy cannonball. While the crippled alpha struggles, Lucas casually claps, genuinely impressed by its flawless, skillful manipulation of opposing fire and ice elements. But to the dying wolf, this smiling human is no warrior, but a terrifying apex predator radiating overwhelming dread. Refusing to surrender, the beast gambles everything on a desperate combo attack, merging blazing fire and absolute ice into a blinding smokescreen. But Lucas easily shreds the vapor, shattering the poor monster's final hope. The beast scrambles away, but Lucas is faster. He snatches its fluffy tail and delivers a brutal pro-wrestling slam. Facing down a massive magical monster, zero sweat. In fact, our overpowered hero is having the time of his life. He is already calculating his sweet experience points until bam, the giant wolf blasts him straight into the cavern wall. Thinking it secured an easy victory, the massive beast unleashes a blinding inferno. But Lucas dodges effortlessly. Panicking, the oversized pup spits out a second wave of blazing hellfire to keep him back. This time, Lucas casually strolls right through the blazing fire. Closing the gap instantly, Lucas delivers a catastrophic punch. The impact shatters the very earth, sending shockwaves tearing through the cave. No mercy here. He follows up with another devastating blow right to its snout. At this exact moment, the beast realizes it messed with the wrong human. Death is practically knocking. Time for plan B, absolute submission. The giant wolf literally raises its paws, bows deeply, and coughs up a glowing dual-colored core. Lucas blinks in shock. In this world, magical creatures are sometimes born holding incredible power within their internal cores. These extremely rare crystals act as the ultimate battery, powering the monster for its entire life. But here is the cheat code. If a human's blood touches that core, the fearsome monster becomes an obedient pet. Spitting out its absolute life force, this wolf is basically begging Lucas to adopt it. Well, who can resist such a polite surrender? Lucas graciously accepts his new furry follower. Talk about an ultra-rare drop. Taming a level 6 magical beast is an impossible dream, even for top-tier mages. Still, Lucas questions the mutt's brain power. Usually high-level beasts are way too prideful to bow down to a human master. Following the contract ritual, Lucas drips his blood onto the floating gems, triggering a blinding magical flash. The wolf happily gulps down the glowing stones. Suddenly, a mysterious voice calls out to him, leaving Lucas completely baffled. Surprise! The giant dog is telepathically talking. Lucas realizes the blood pact actually gave them an incredibly useful translation channel. Bursting with pride over his new, overpowered pet, he officially names the good boy Uru. Wait, does this mean the boss monster's loot is now his property? Lucas immediately starts dreaming about a hidden treasure stash. Right on cue, Uru wags its tail and leads its new master deeper into the mysterious cavern. Inside the hidden vault, Lucas discovers a mountain of shiny gems, rare bones, and extremely valuable monster pelts. His eyes basically turn into giant dollar signs. He just hit the absolute fantasy jackpot. But hold on, Uru proudly declares that this pile of junk is not the main event. The real prize, a hidden stash overflowing with level 3 beast cores, plus 2 incredibly rare level 6 crystals. Uru smugly brags about gobbling up legendary elemental crystals just to boost its own stats. Lucas does the quick math. To evolve, this crazy dog had to munch on enemies that were just as brutally strong as itself. Defeating 2 boss-level rivals, not bad for a pet. As a grand reward, Lucas tosses Uru a premium healing potion. He casually orders his mighty furry guardian to protect the shiny loot, while taking a well-deserved nap. Uru enthusiastically accepts its very first official mission, swearing to guard the cave with its life. Fast forward to academy life. Despite pulling an all-nighter, Lucas strolls into class feeling perfectly refreshed thanks to some magical incense. But the classroom is pure chaos. Students panic over the ticking clock. Why? Because their esteemed instructor is completely ghosting them on day 1. Hot-headed Kai is fuming. He loudly rants that the academy completely forgot to hire a martial arts professor. Suddenly, a completely wasted old man stumbles through the door. Meet Sigult, their supposedly brilliant homeroom teacher. Kai's jaw hits the floor. How is this unwashed, staggering drunk supposed to mentor elite academy students? Without warning, Sigult unleashes a deafening roar, nearly blowing out poor Kai's eardrums. But Lucas sees through the disguise. That insane vocal projection means this hobo is secretly a high-level martial arts master. The drunk teacher instantly silences the room, terrifyingly banning anyone from speaking without his strict permission. Establishing total dominance, Sigult lazily begins roll call. Tishi, the quiet girl from the ceremony, nervously squeaks out her name first, miraculously finishing the list without passing out. The old master chuckles at the perfect attendance record. But then comedy strikes. He completely forgot his textbook immediately, forcing poor Tishi to become class representative just to fetch it. Tishi freezes in absolute shock, desperately hoping she misheard this ridiculous lazy demand. Sigult brutally shuts him down instantly, sparking Kai's absolute outrage. Leaping up, the rich kid violently demands a fair, blood-pumping election battle among all proper candidates. He instantly activates his bragging mode, flexing his elite pedigree, and loudly claiming the throne belongs to him. Bam! A flying projectile suddenly snipes Kai's forehead. Sigult strictly reminds the room that unapproved chattering is an absolute crime. Walking out, the deadpan teacher casually orders Tishi to pass out textbooks for a brutal self-study session. Sparkles surround Tishi. Not only did she crush the exams, but she just snagged the coveted class boss title. Clenching her fists, she passionately vows to flip her entire destiny starting today. While Kai dramatically nurses his throbbing lump, Lucas narrows his eyes, sensing a dangerous aura from their instructor. The angry noble instantly plots his revenge, eager to snitch to the academy board and get Sigult fired. But our main character runs a tactical analysis. He realizes Sigult's bizarre movements actually mask some devastating past battle scars. A thrilling thought crosses his mind. Just what kind of absolute monster was Sigult originally? Smirking, Lucas rejects the snitching plan. His inner battle junkie is absolutely vibrating to witness the true power this grumpy teacher hides. Fast forward to lunchtime. Outside the cafeteria, Kai is throwing a massive tantrum over their grueling hours-long solo study marathon. He loudly brands Sigult, a complete tyrant, for dictatorially crowning the class boss without a single vote. While the rich kid pops a blood vessel, Lucas happily spots his younger sister. Delivering a wholesome head pat, he asks about her morning. Julia beams, bragging about her angelic homeroom teacher who warmly encouraged her to run for next week's election. Cue another volcanic eruption from Kai. Standard academy rules literally state elections only happen after week 1. Blinking in pure shock at the martial arts department's insane speed, Julia innocently asks if her awesome brother grabbed the crown. Sweating mildly, Lucas gracefully shoots down that extremely flattering assumption. Changing the subject, our hero confidently leads the charge into the dining hall, hyping up the legendary academy menu. Plot twist: survival here strictly operates on a ruthless, point-based culinary economy. Broke freshmen can temporarily trade raw cash for survival points, but the academy only allows this desperate lifeline exactly once. The catch conversion rates are entirely rigged by department. Julia casually scores a massive, luxurious feast and happily digs in. The disrespect is real. Magic kids get 100 points per coin, while struggling martial artists receive a pathetic 10. Kai's jaw hits the floor. The academy staff is literally bullying the physical fighters right in broad daylight. A smirking cafeteria worker brutally shoots down complaints. Inside these walls, noble blood means absolutely nothing, because only your points matter. Violently chewing on a crusty, flavorless piece of bread, Kai tearfully realizes this cursed school has officially stripped his human rights. Seeing his absolutely pitiful state, an angelic Julia takes mercy and generously shares her lavish feast. Waterfalls of gratitude stream down Kai's face. Just then, Mia glides in. Julia warmly invites her, but the elegant girl politely declines the extra calories, claiming she is full. Instead, Mia reveals a cute little bag of homemade cookies, a sweet reward for their heroic assist earlier. She offers a batch to a starry-eyed Julia, who eagerly accepts the delicious homemade treat. Taking a bite, Lucas genuinely praises her top-tier baking stats. These treats are an absolute critical hit. Classic Kai shamelessly snatches a handful, chewing intensely. The rich boy dramatically declares these rival the legendary confections of the Troy estate. As the two exchange introductions, the annoying wingman aggressively nudges Lucas, teasing him for hiding such a stunning female companion. What this clueless idiot misses is the massive dramatic irony. Mia is literally our hero's ex-fiancée. Obviously, Lucas stays completely silent. Once the baked goods are distributed, she gracefully departs. Lucas finally exhales, surviving the insane, unspoken, awkward tension. He immediately marks the cafeteria as a dangerous respawn point for familiar faces. Right on cue, Mina makes her grand entrance. Soon after, arrogant Theod literally flies through the lunchroom using explosive fire magic, desperately farming cool points from the crowd. Our main character deadpans at the spectacle, instantly tagging the flashy guy as a massive attention-seeking tryhard. Plus, Lucas holds absolutely zero respect for the fake genius. He overheard earlier that Theod secretly downs illegal boosters just to cast level 6 spells. Mid-bite, the sharp-eyed main character catches their grumpy teacher Cygold slipping out the doors. A suspicious curiosity suddenly sparks. Behind closed doors, the academy staff is busy roasting Cygold for his absolutely unhinged and disrespectful teaching methods. Yet some whisper in tragic pity, knowing a dark past broke the man. Suddenly, the controversial instructor enters the tense staff meeting. With the guild assembled, the headmaster drops the epic daily quest. Today's agenda heavily features the highly anticipated magical beast taming tournament. In the dangerous Carmina Empire, monster raids are a daily hazard. Mastering these wild creatures is not just cool, it is absolute survival. Thus, the legendary magical beast taming tournament remains a glorious annual nightmare for Allen Magic Academy's fresh meat. Julia's homeroom instructor casually drops a bomb. They prepared over 2,000 level 1 magical beasts for this bloodbath. She breezily suggests kicking off the chaos in exactly 6 days, treating it like a standard pop quiz. Instructor Greg quickly chimes in, flashing a fake smile. He claims a 6-day prep time sounds perfectly reasonable. However, he smugly declares the martial arts department should sit out. Bare fists against magical beasts, utterly pointless. Naturally, Sigalt fiercely shuts that nonsense down. Greg awkwardly backpedals, sweating as he claims he only worried for their safety. But Instructor Linda sharply interrupts, firmly backing up Sigalt's bold stance. She reminds the arrogant fool that every single freshman holds the absolute right to face this magical trial. Another instructor fiercely agrees, preaching the sacred rule of absolute equality for all students. Beneath his forced smile, Greg is practically seething with pure rage. How dare they still blindly support a washed-up thug like Sigalt? He bitterly suspects Linda still clings to a foolish fantasy. She thinks Sigalt can reclaim his legendary title as a level 8 powerhouse. Cornered, Greg begrudgingly retreats into the shadows. Let the martial artists cry like babies when those monstrous beasts actually charge. With the vote settled, the headmaster strikes the gavel. The martial arts underdogs are officially entering the grand arena. Once the doors close, a worried colleague pulls Linda aside. He nervously questions her bold defense. Was throwing defenseless martial artists to the wolves truly a wise move? Greg wasn't totally wrong. A second instructor chimes in with heavy sighs. Real combat is vital, sure, but this taming tournament is a brutal meat grinder. Linda simply smirks. She recalls a profound lesson from a true legend. A coward running from hardship dares not call himself a martial artist. That fiery wisdom came straight from Sigalt. Furthermore, she guarantees one absolute truth. Any pathetic student fleeing this tournament would be mercilessly expelled by that very man. Bursting into the classroom, Sigalt immediately drops the explosive news about the upcoming beast-taming bloodbath. To survive this madness, he commands his terrified students to march outside for some brutal field combat training. He vows to painfully forge them into absolute weapons entirely capable of crushing magical beasts with bare hands. Right on cue, the class clown Kai opens his giant mouth. He casually whines that this deadly tournament usually just picks the class rep. With their leader already chosen, he smugly declares this suicide mission completely pointless for them to join. Smack Sigalt delivers a swift chop, instantly shutting down the lazy complaining. Meanwhile, our overpowered main character, Lucas, sweats bullets over a real crisis. How on earth can he spar without accidentally obliterating his fragile classmates? Minutes later, they reach the dusty training arena. Watching Tishi flawlessly execute her moves, Lucas nods in silent respect. Besides his own cheat-like power, her combat prowess absolutely dominates this entire class. This glorious revelation proves one thing. Sigalt possessed an eagle's eye for absolute talent when crowning her their supreme representative. Following hours of bone-crushing drills, the heavenly lunch bell finally chimes. Sigalt declares the torturous session finished. Kai practically weeps with pure joy, completely hyped for the upcoming cafeteria feast. Collins and Sharp instantly sprint toward the dining hall. Staying true to their shady bargain, Collins promises to smuggle back Kai's lunch. Sharp aggressively halts in his tracks, utterly bewildered. Did this sneaky merchant strike another secret pact with the noisy slacker? Kai proudly flexes his ultimate lazy genius plan. 2 cold, hard coins perfectly traded for 2 juicy points worth of cafeteria grub. It was a flawless hustle. Collins pockets real cash. Kai hoards his precious academy points. Absolute perfection for both side hustlers. Sharp groans in pure, unadulterated agony. If he had known about this golden loophole, he would have violently snatched that glorious deal himself. Collins flashes a sly merchant grin, offering Sharp the next commission. Watching this unfold, Lucas mentally applauds. This guy flawlessly milks cash while buttering everyone up. Brimming with arrogance, Kai loudly brags about his majestic money-saving intellect to our silent powerhouse. The fool actually offers financial advice. Naturally, Lucas ignores his blabbering, leaving poor Kai freezing in an awkward silence. At first, Kai feels slightly rejected, but then his tiny brain connects the dots. With an elite course genius sister backing him up, Lucas is practically swimming in endless luxury points. Hilariously, Kai's grand deduction is wildly incorrect. Even without Julia's backing, our overpowered hero never starves. He casually strolls into monster-infested woods, hunting absolute terrors for a basic barbecue. Sizzling steaks over a fire, a dark thought strikes him. That suspicious Mina was shamelessly hovering around Julia again. His overprotective instincts violently flare up. He must maintain absolute vigilance to completely crush any hidden schemes that shady girl might harbor. Suddenly, his plotting shatters. A massive puddle of drool forms as little Uru hungrily stares down the perfectly roasted meat. Playing the benevolent master, Lucas tosses the majestic beast a well-deserved snack. But there is a catch. Once you finish, we are sparring. Lucas grins, promising to hold back. Hearing this, poor Uru practically soils his fur in pure terror. Meanwhile, back at the Ryan estate, a gloomy cloud hangs over Lady Catherine. Seeing her heart ache for their children, her loving husband suggests a surprise visit. Conveniently passing through Dacktown on business, Holt offers to escort her. Overjoyed, Catherine wraps him in a tight, tearful embrace, her heart soaring. In the shadowy halls of Count Grind's estate, masked noblewomen hold a secret gathering. Among these mysterious figures, Holt's second wife, Jessica. At the head of the table sits the demonic lady, quietly amassing her sinister strength. With a wicked smirk, she serves a mysterious crimson brew, calling it the Jade Dream. One sip and their bodies radiate an ethereal glow. Little do these foolish aristocrats know they are chugging demonic blood. Exploiting their desperate thirst for the legendary glass body, the demoness pulls the strings perfectly. With the tainted drink swallowed, she officially begins their twisted game. Later, the villainous hostess summons Jessica privately, demanding the juicy details of how Julia escaped the bandit ambush. Jessica spills the tea, claiming Julia wiped out the thugs thanks to a ridiculous level 7 divine blessing. The demoness connects the dots. Julia must have inherited Miranda's terrifying lineage. Yet crushing a bandit boss with just level 7 power, highly suspicious. Leaning in close, the monster whispers a deadly proposal. Want to slaughter Catherine and her brat to steal the Baroness title. Blinded by greed, Jessica eagerly nods, begging to know the master plan. With pure villainous flair, the demoness brands her dark insignia straight onto Jessica's flesh. In an instant, the foolish woman becomes her puppet. Meanwhile, at the academy, instructor Tishi drops a bombshell. Morning combat training is still on. Groans echo through the courtyard. Kai and the boys whine about aching bones, while another extra cries about pulling a painful all-nighter. Tishi flashes a sadistic smile, fully embracing the torture. But she quickly drops the tough love act, reminding them this hellish grind will awaken their true potential. Hilariously, Lucas's roommates look fresh as daisies. Their massive egos completely assume they are just built differently. The funny truth, they only survived the night thanks to the sweet tranquility incense Kai lit earlier. Even the strict instructor is completely fooled, praising the squad's supposedly monstrous stamina. The sparring begins. Kai recklessly charges at Lucas, only to be effortlessly swatted away like a pesky mosquito. The fierce clash rages on. Kai actually thinks he is pushing the protagonist, completely unaware Lucas is barely using 1% of his power. Mid-dodge, Lucas's sharp instincts flare up. A mysterious gaze is piercing him from afar. His radar never fails. An enigmatic geezer chills under a distant tree, analyzing their every single move. Spotting a split-second opening, the overly confident Kai throws a desperate sneak attack. Big mistake, Lucas evades with ghost-like reflexes, sending Kai face-planting spectacularly into the dirt. Spitting out mud, the stubborn fool leaps back up, screaming that this duel is not over yet. Smirking, Lucas drops back into a fighting stance. Meanwhile, that creepy tree stalker, it is none other than Elder Otani. Strolling back to the archives, the old man meets Mina. She kindly offers an escort, but he coldly brushes her off. The perceptive elder smirks to himself. He has already completely seen through our hero's clever disguise. Hooked on the mystery, Otani vows to keep stalking him. Hours pass, and the grueling combat session finally wraps up. Thank heavens for Seigold. His secret massage techniques instantly save the day. With the whole class blissfully melting their muscle cramps away, Lucas slyly rejoices. Now nobody will suspect his overpowered dorm room. With zero time to waste, our hero decides to construct his ultimate secret training sanctuary. But epic hideouts are not free. He desperately needs some high-tier construction materials. Lucky for him, the Academy's mystical shop hoards exclusive artifacts banned from the outside world. Stepping inside, Lucas's jaw drops. This place is not a dusty store, it is a massive magical shopping mall. However, one glance at the price tags makes his wallet cry. Everything is outrageously expensive. Doing the brutal math, maintaining his lifestyle will easily burn through 100 points monthly. Mooching off Julia's endless wealth is tempting, but his pride forbids becoming a total freeloader. Playing it safe, he only purchases basic magical potions today. But his grand master plan: next trip, he will absolutely liquidate Uru's hidden cave treasures for infinite points. The shop clerk is happily snoozing away until Lucas slams a massive pile of loot on her desk, ready to drop some serious cash. She rings up his massive haul, revealing a grand total of 5 hefty academy points. One glance at his uniform and she instantly pegs him as a martial arts meathead. Blowing half his 10-point allowance in a single shopping spree is wild. Pockets lighter, our boy casually turns to leave, but before he steps out, she drops a warning. Spending like a baller now means eating dirt later. Lucas just flashes a cocky grin. This stash, barely a warm-up. He promises to return and completely drain the shop dry. The clerk is totally baffled. Why would a punch-happy martial artist buy a mountain of potion ingredients they cannot even brew? What exactly is this crazy freshman cooking up? She shrugs it off as classic rich kid behavior. Later, hidden inside Uru's cave, Lucas concocts a mystical potion bath to soak up those sweet buffs. Hopping out rejuvenated, he spots lingering magical juice swirling in the tub. Dumping it feels like a sin, but serving Gamer Boy bathwater to a friend is just way too cursed. While pondering this gross dilemma, a super bizarre chill creeps down his spine. He whips around only to catch Uru chugging his leftover bathwater like a dehydrated maniac. Gagging slightly, Lucas decides to just roll with it. He pats the beast, figuring those buffs will naturally beef him up. The happy monster cheers out his thanks, immediately demanding a juicy steak. Crisis averted. Now Lucas plots a sneaky midnight run to convert cave loot into sweet academy points without being seen. He also needs to stash his suspiciously huge hardware haul somewhere near his dorm room. Once the sun sets, a covert smuggling operation to the cave begins. Flashback to the shop. Lucas hoisted a massive training dummy with one arm, completely ignoring the clerk offering lifting magic. The lady cheerily waves him off, totally charmed by this bizarrely strong golden retriever energy. His cover is perfectly safe. She naturally assumes a rich family is bankrolling these crazy purchases. Cut to the training grounds. Instructor Seigold is fiercely roasting his lazy students, barking that the taming tournament is tomorrow. Weaklings are kindly invited to pack their bags. The fiery instructor prowls the courtyard, aggressively correcting anyone with terrible form. He absolutely destroys Kai for being pathetic. But the delusional kid argues back, bragging about totally defeating Lucas and his gang. Thwack, a ruthless finger flick to the forehead, instantly sends the loudmouth crying into the dirt. Seigold glares at Kai's roommates, utterly disgusted that they somehow managed to lose to such a monumental scrub. Little does he know those guys threw the fight for easy cash, while Lucas simply dodged the annoying drama. To crush that ego, Seigold orders Tishi into the ring. Kai skips forward, practically begging for a beatdown. Cocky as ever, he vows zero mercy. He plans to completely embarrass her and steal that class representative title. Round 1 starts. Kai blindly bum-rushes her like an absolute raging amateur. Thinking he secured a strike, his jaw drops as she sidesteps gracefully. Bam! A brutal gut punch instantly steals his breath. Panicking, he launches a sloppy straight kick. Boom! Tishi returns the favor with a savage head kick factory, resetting his brain. Unbelievably, this dummy still wants smoke. Smack! A devastating palm strike launches him straight into the solid wall. Witnessing this utter humiliation, the class finally respects her crown. Seigold smirks, warning his stunned class that real, magical beasts will never show an ounce of this mercy. Meanwhile, our genius protagonist has already dissected the entire brawl. Kai abandoned all defense for pure offense, handing Tishi the easiest counterattack victory in history. Post-beatdown, Tishi nicely checks on her victim. Kai stays dead silent, and everyone assumes his fragile ego is shattered. The instructor then drops a major bomb. Tame one magical beast at the tournament or pack up and leave the academy forever. Striding away, he ruthlessly commands them to keep grinding until the sun goes down. With the teacher gone, Lucas approaches the battered loser. Cutting off any excuses, Lucas bluntly points out his laughably non-existent blocking skills. Fix that reckless habit, aim for weak spots, and he might survive. But Kai suddenly cuts him off, looking absolutely crazed. Plot twist, Kai proudly declares he is madly in love. Why? Because she is the first girl to ever kick him. He continues swooning over her brutal strikes, revealing the birth of a terrifying new masochist. He is literally naming their unborn children. Lucas facepalms hard. His buddy Kai is officially an absolute hopeless masochist. Morning breaks. The students hit the legendary arena, totally jaw-dropped by its sheer jaw-dropping scale. How many monsters fit in there? Kai nearly soils himself. Terrifying, absolute nightmare creatures are literally roaring right under their boots. Meanwhile, Greg's magic snobs are fuming that meathead martial artists even got invited. They spout total garbage, but shockingly, Instructor Seigold defends his underdog squad. He barks at the elites to memorize the rules instead of spewing pointless, arrogant nonsense. Lucas blinks. Whoa. The grumpy teacher actually shielding the physical combat class. Shaking like a leaf, Kai panics. Lucas chuckles, assuring his survival. Just picture those monsters as harmless seagulls. Naturally, Kai is utterly, completely baffled. Lucas smirks. Bro, just imagine you are punching Seigold's face instead of the beast. Kai's eyes sparkle with absolute hype. His battle aura instantly skyrockets to the max. Seigold hears every word, silently ignoring their cheeky disrespect. Lucas drops golden wisdom. Scrub monsters cannot shatter your iron defense. Just turtle up, hold the line, and absolute victory is guaranteed. Kai furiously nods, swearing to never repeat that utterly humiliating defeat he suffered against Tishi. Eavesdropping Sigil secretly nods. This Lucas kid actually spits some top-tier tactical genius. Suddenly, the proctor announces the golden rule: tame 10 ferocious beasts and you snatch a flawless score. But listen up, accidentally slaying a creature means brutal point deductions. You get 10 minutes getting mauled. Just scream your lungs out for a rescue teacher pacing outside the bloody cage. Rules established. He drops the curtain. The epic taming trials officially begin with Group 1. Julia struts in first, instantly noticing the massive space magic barrier wrapping the zone. That explains squeezing 50 giant beasts inside. The monsters instantly howl for blood, but Julia just flashes a terrifyingly excited, battle-hungry grin. She wildly blitzes forward, blasting an absolute tsunami of cracking lightning. Outside, the proctor drops lore. Every single beast here is bathed in a highly specialized magical tracking potion. Once a monster totally yields, bright neon smoke dramatically erupts from it. Outside, teachers monitor complex magic circles, perfectly tracking every single beast, tamed for real-time scores. Barely 3 minutes later, Julia casually strolls out, clutching a legendary flawless score. She rushes to Linda, who totally fangirls over her insane record-smashing 3-minute clear time. Julia just yawns. Time to go spy on her totally clueless brother. Where are the punch kickers? Linda points to Venue 10, warning that the martial arts squad goes dead last. A massive wait time looms. Hearing that massive delay, Julia pragmatically decides to hunt for some epic snacks. Nearby, Iowa eagerly waits praying. Lucas drops another ridiculously overpowered stunt like Orientation Day. 2 agonizing hours pass, the brawlers wait, and a totally stressed Kai starts sweating bullets. Lucas calmly shuts it down. Chill, bro. True martial artists easily wipe the floor with those squishy, fragile mage classes anytime. Hearing this supreme confidence, Seagull literally stands up and claps. He orders his meatheads to finally stop acting so pathetically insecure. He drops facts. 0 injuries so far because scrub tier level 1 monsters literally cannot scratch human skin. Furthermore, brawlers absolutely outclass rookie mages in raw, explosive physical strength and lethal close quarters combat. The class is utterly shook. Their grumpy drill sergeant actually spitting motivational fire. Tishi triumphantly returns. Intel acquired 0 casualties. Everyone else is just comically fainting from pathetic mana exhaustion. Plus, she snagged some absolutely juicy, game-changing tactical cheat codes. Plot twist. Invisible barriers tightly leash the beasts, totally preventing any unfair swarm tactics. Losing a brawl. Just hilariously sprint away and bully a much tinier, wimpier monster instead. Manage your breathing, fight smart, and harvesting free points is basically a total cakewalk, Tishi declares. The meatheads erupt in joyous cheers, basically worshipping their absolute goddess of a class rep. Sigil silently smirks. Making her the leader was absolutely his most brilliant galaxy brain move yet. Suddenly, arrogant Greg struts over, mocking them for needing pathetic coward-tier survival tactics to barely pass. Sigil glares at this annoying pest. Greg smugly sneers, announcing the martial arts rejects are finally up on the chopping block. Strutting away, he throws massive shade. Better train hard, trash. Your whole department is about to vanish. He rubs extra salt in the wound. Honestly, let it burn. This garbage dump of a department was a colossal mistake. Lucas's blood boils instantly. This arrogant jerk totally reeks of the exact same trash who bullied him in his past life. Jumping up, Lucas glares at Seagull. I am taking the stage right now. As the top ranker, I claim the undeniable right to go first. Seagull sweats a little. Hey, absolutely no pressure. If your knees are shaking, someone else can totally take the lead. But our boy is locked in, no way. I am breaking down that door first. He flashes a confident smirk. I will secure god-tier results. Time to show these stuck-up mages who they are really messing with. The entire class practically catches fire with hype. They scream their lungs out, hyping their walking legend of a classmate. Seagull is completely mind-blown. These constantly terrified kids just transformed into a squad of highly motivated warriors. Exactly 10 minutes later, Lucas boldly kicks open the arena doors. The second his boots hit the dirt, his eyes lock onto a massive detection magic circle hovering right above. His brain immediately goes into genius mode. If he just dodges the scanner's blind spots, those nosy teachers won't see a single thing. He knows the tamer's ultimate golden rule. Once a magical beast completely submits, a soul link unlocks perfect telepathy. It even lets him hijack their raw abilities. Back in the cave, little Uru is just playing around. Shocked his overpowered master is borrowing his aura. Lucas instantly activates Uru's terrifying demonic aura. The exam monsters absolutely lose their minds. They scatter like terrified rats, completely convinced an apex predator just dropped in. This is Lucas's hilarious master plan. Mentally break the poor creatures until their fighting spirit completely shatters into utter dust. All he has to do is flex a fake high-tier aura and these overgrown pets will practically wet themselves in fear. He smirks, thanking his little mascot. Uru's stolen intimidation stat is doing pure wonders, forcing these fierce monsters to immediately roll over. But our mad lad refuses to leave early. He wants complete and utter domination. He even expertly traps the magic smoke to hide his hilarious bullying tactics. Squishing a terrified owl beast into submission, Lucas gives it a totally creepy smile. "We will definitely hang out again later, buddy." Meanwhile, the poor bird is sobbing on the inside. It is violently praying to never see this absolute demon again. 5 agonizing minutes pass without a single point. Outside, Kai is sweating bullets, terrified that his bro is totally bombing the test. Suddenly, Julia pops up like a total boss. "Chill out. My awesome brother is totally going to secure a flawless victory exactly like I did." Catching a whiff of potential failure, the toxic teacher Greg instantly swoops in to relentlessly roast the martial arts squad. He laughs right in their faces. "You brainless meatheads are so incredibly pathetic, even a basic slime could probably wipe you out. This is why magic totally rules," he gloats, but Julia fiercely snaps back. "Do not ever trash talk my brother. He cannot cast spells, but he is an undisputed legend." Greg physically recoils in pure shock. A genius mage actually defending a magicless brute impossible. He scoffs, totally convinced that Professor Linda's complete garbage teachings are already infecting the top-tier freshmen. "Bark all you want, little girl. The scoreboard never lies," he sneers. But instantly, the magical loudspeaker violently echoes, "Ding, Lucas has officially secured 1 point." Kai practically cries tears of pure joy. His best bro just completely avoided expulsion and is officially staying in the department. Greg just bursts into incredibly toxic laughter. "You pathetic losers are partying over 1 measly point. My top student easily bagged 5. But the loudspeaker immediately interrupts his villain speech. "Ding, 4 rapid subjugations. Lucas is now currently blazing at 5 whole points." Greg's smug face completely shatters into pure disbelief. A trash-tier meathead just casually tied with his very best magic prodigy. Inside the chaotic arena, Lucas finally connects the invisible dots. Since he already traumatized every single monster in the room, his fellow classmates can basically farm free points forever. With his charity work officially finished, he cracks his knuckles for the main event. Time to grab that shiny, flawless victory. Lucas goes on an epic taming rampage. He bulldozes through the terrified horde, snatching a god-tier perfect score of 10. Greg's jaw literally hits the damn floor. Lucas casually strolls out of the gates, rocking a 10 out of 10 without a single scratch. Julia cheers like an incredibly proud fangirl. She knew her big bro was secretly overpowered. She tackles him in a giant hug, getting a sweet head pat. But Greg totally loses his grip on reality. "Fraud. Blatant cheat," he violently screams. A magicless rookie could never conquer 10 beasts. Foaming at the mouth, he furiously targets Seagull. "You rigged the entire arena, didn't you? You definitely tampered with the test." Before Seagull can even completely clap back, the terrifying chief examiner slowly steps out. "Are you implying my supreme authority is compromised? That I take dirty bribes?" Hearing those bone-chillingly cold words, all the color violently drains from Greg's face. He just provoked the most dangerous figures in the academy. These high-tier judges can instantly end his entire pathetic career. Greg practically chokes on his own words, desperately backpedaling. He stammers that Lucas only scored perfectly because the training dummy mysteriously broke screaming foul play. To soothe Greg's bruised ego, the lead proctor sighs and orders a full inspection of the magical barrier zone. Kai scoffs in pure disbelief. Are these guys seriously throwing a tantrum just because a martial artist scored flawlessly? But Lucas just chuckles, patting Kai's shoulder. Let the judges snoop all they want, he has absolutely nothing to hide. 10 agonizing minutes later, the grand barrier finally unlocks. The traumatized monsters instantly scramble for the exit, but thick magical chains hold them back. The proctor scratches his head. Sure, the beasts are trembling like leaves, but they remain perfectly healthy for combat. A judge whispers, asking if Lucas actually earned those points fairly. The chief just shrugs, finding zero traces of cheating. Still, his gut screams that these monsters survived absolute hell. With zero proof of foul play, the head proctor commands the tournament to resume. As Lucas's 10 traumatized victims are dragged away for testing, the loudspeaker blasts the start of the next round. Lucas playfully pouts, almost wishing they found a grand conspiracy. Sadly, the stuck-up elite still refuse to acknowledge his overwhelming god-tier strength. But he just smirks. The ultimate comedy show is about to start as Taishi and the squad step up. Fired up and refusing to lose, Taishi storms the arena. She locks eyes with her targets, boldly claiming a 30-second victory. But the second those monsters spot her, they hallucinate a demonic Lucas hovering behind her, sparking sheer panic. Without a single blow, the terrifying beasts instantly surrender. Taishi blinks in absolute shock. Did a fierce level 3 dark wolf really just roll over and play dead? She excitedly wonders, is this pure luck? Or are martial artists secretly overpowered, crushing all those nasty academy rumors? Riding that high, she casually strolls through the arena. Before she knows it, a flawless 10-point score flashes overhead. The martial arts squad explodes with cheers. Not only did she ace it, but she totally crushed Lucas's record time. The judges' jaws drop in sheer confusion. Baffled, they send this batch of shivering monsters straight to the testing lab. Taishi struts out, beaming with pride. Lucas was totally right. These so-called terrifying beasts are basically oversized puppies. Her confidence skyrockets. Whoever said physical fighters were stepping stones for those arrogant mages? The hilarity does not stop there. Sharp, Collins, and even Kai waltz in and secure wildly flawless victories. By the grand finale, every single martial artist sweeps the board with perfect tens, completely hijacking the elite top rankings. Master Saigal hides a proud smirk. His underdog disciples just flipped the entire academy hierarchy perfectly upside down. Later, the baffled headmaster reads the medical reports. The beasts are perfectly healthy, making the martial arts sweep a total mystery. Sweating, the chief proctor pitches his wildest theory. He guesses the monsters were simply left traumatized by the flashy magic spells from the earlier mage exams. A second judge shakes his head. They have run this exact tournament for years, and nothing this ridiculous ever happened. Then again, this is the very first time the newly formed combat department has stepped onto the battlefield. The proctors genuinely believe that charging into close combat just triggered the beast's ultimate fight-or-flight instincts. Rubbing his temples, the headmaster sighs. Next year, the fighters will definitely test first to avoid this ridiculous circus. But for now, the shocking leaderboard results are officially set in stone. Suddenly, Greg kicks the door open. He cries that these brute force fighters are completely humiliating his precious mage students. The combatants are literally tying with the elite tier. The headmaster coldly glares, daring Greg to officially object. Sweating bullets, Greg backs down, yet bitterly mutters that claiming the top spot through sheer dumb luck is utter garbage. Right on cue, legendary Otani steps up to completely shut down the pointless whining. He smirks, declaring luck is a true warrior's skill. They absolutely cannot punish the students for the academy's own oversight. Nodding, the headmaster officially orders the proctors to broadcast the mind-blowing scores to everyone. Boiling with pathetic saltiness, Greg silently curses them all, vowing bitter revenge for this ultimate humiliation. The headmaster then turns to Otani. As a legendary level 9 master, he surely knows the terrifying reason behind this anomaly. Otani chuckles mysteriously, claiming his lips are now firmly sealed. He promises it brings zero harm to the academy. Inwardly, Otani laughs perfectly, hiding the monstrous truth of Lucas's overwhelming power. Meanwhile, Kai's martial arts crew threw a wild celebration because they completely crushed the exams with perfect scores. Lucas humbly brushed off praise, loudly crediting Instructor Siegel's hellish special training for their legendary success. Of course, our sneaky protagonist played dumb. A brilliant diversion, keeping his overpowered secrets completely hidden. Kai suddenly grinned, asking his brothers how they planned to spend their juicy 20-point first-place tournament bonus. Sharp stubbornly hoarded his points, complaining he still had to pay for Kai's massive food tabs. Kai, on the contrary, boldly declared the true power move was buying premium materials for next month's brutal combat trials. Lucas blinked in complete confusion about combat training. Smirking, Kai dropped the epic lore regarding a legendary event called Allen Tower. This was famously hailed as the Academy's absolute pinnacle of unique trial grounds. Inside awaited an insane phantom dimension, packed with terrifying magical beasts, savage beastmen, and even massive titans. Since these monsters were mere illusions, students faced zero actual death, a cheat-level method to clash against exotic races, building pure, unadulterated real-world combat strength without risking their own lives. However, only a measly 100 freshmen were permitted to enter. With 12 elite students already hogging automatic VIP slots, the rest had to fight tooth and nail to secure those precious remaining tickets. Kai smirked, revealing participants are selected from the annual taming tournament ranks. With their flawless perfect scores, Kai felt absolutely certain their golden tickets were practically guaranteed in the bag. Suddenly, Sharp and Collins jumped up. They eagerly declared a swift sprint to the material shop for shiny new training equipment. Observing this fiery enthusiasm, Lucas smiled, realizing these martial artists were seriously burning with absolute desire to actually get stronger. His heart swelled with sheer satisfaction. Helping everyone secure perfect tournament scores was definitely the absolute right move. Kai quickly grabbed Lucas, demanding an epic shopping spree. But Lucas politely declined, mysteriously flashing the bizarre pendant Instructor Seagal had secretly handed him. The creepy artifact closely resembled a savage beast tooth. Lucas casually claimed he needed time to properly examine it. Apparently, this mysterious trinket was an ultra-rare reward, exclusively gifted only to the top 3 gods who achieved perfect tournament scores. Kai mercilessly teased him. If ranks somehow shifted, Tishi would hold it. Lucas just smirked cockily, declaring his protagonist luck was insanely strong and completely unmatched. Shaking his head, Kai waved a quick goodbye. He dashed toward the supply store to crash his buddy's epic shopping trip. Meanwhile, a furious storm brewed in the mage department. Discovering the martial artists' perfect scores absolutely enraged them, especially the toxic elitists dwelling in Greg's class. Laya, a vicious magic student, fumed openly. Her grand dream was dominating the ranks for 3 straight years, cementing absolute supremacy directly below the untouchable elite course students. The girl breathed pure fire. Her father invested 10 agonizing years of heavy effort, making this massive setback completely unforgivable. Another arrogant mage stormed inside, frothing with absolute rage because those brainless brawlers successfully stole their precious Allen Tower event slots. A nervous classmate tried extinguishing the angry flames, cautiously reminding everyone that the martial arts monkeys technically did not actually cheat. But the furious guy scoffed aggressively, claiming the martial arts department boldly bribed the noble examiners. The moment those toxic words dropped, the entire room exploded. Suddenly, he effortlessly brainwashed everyone into believing this crazy conspiracy theory. Their wild delusion quickly targeted Kai. With his family's bottomless wealth, slipping dirty cash to the teachers made perfect twisted sense to them. Four-eyed Andre pushed up his glasses with a villainous glint. He coldly reported spotting Sharp and Collins snatching the absolute last batch of training gear at the campus material shop. He viciously laid out a grim reality. What happens when that brute department gets their massive 20-point bonus? Those greedy meatheads would ruthlessly sweep the market, stealing all the precious magical loot rightfully meant for them. That broke Laya. With a wicked sneer, she reminded her squad that martial artists' meridians were far more fragile than cheap glass. Time for cruel payback. Following her sinister suggestion, the toxic trio ruthlessly cornered Sharp and Collins moments later. Sharp hit the dirt first. Seeing the grotesque back wound, panic violently struck Collins. It was a nasty poison attack, demanding immediate emergency healing to prevent absolute disaster. Utterly desperate, Collins surrendered all their hard-earned points to save his fallen brother, but Laya viciously blasted him down with a toxic bolt, laughing maniacally that points were never the actual goal. Coughing up fresh blood, a completely bewildered, Collins demanded to know her true motive. Laya's eyes gleamed with pure sadism. Her simple demand was utterly humiliating. The battered duo must literally crawl back to their department like pathetic broken dogs. She wanted them to publicly announce their lives were cheaper than squashed bugs. Hours later, a heavily tense Lucas and Kai desperately hunted everywhere for their completely missing comrades. The two anxiously paced the darkened yard, loudly calling out their names. Serious dread twisted deeply inside Lucas, but Kai optimistically believed the two boys were simply running slightly late. But Lucas completely shattered that false hope, declaring the situation highly abnormal. Never before had his heightened senses picked up such a horrifyingly thick metallic stench bleeding onto their chosen path. His predatory instincts locked onto the scent's origin. Without a single warning, Lucas exploded into a dead sprint, leaving a completely bewildered Kai staring in absolute shock. Kai rapidly chased his terrifying aura. Seconds later, they discovered Collins and Sharp tossed in bushes, brutally injured. Pure, unadulterated fury violently erupted from Lucas. Roaring demands for the culprit's identity, he frantically grabbed his broken friends to closely inspect their rapidly fading vitals. Using his last remaining strength, Collins weakly revealed they were ruthlessly ambushed by Laya and her cowardly mage goons from the class of Greg. Seeing their severed meridians, Lucas's rage absolutely shatters the damn power scale. Kai screams his lungs out, but Lucas casually notes they are just taking an extreme dirt nap. Sending a panicking Kai on a medicine run, Lucas finally gets a quiet second to play murder detective. The diagnosis: their bones are practically pulverized into human jigsaw puzzles. Classic, black market assassin bone-crushing technique. How utterly unoriginal. Lucas vows to completely obliterate whoever turned his poor roommates into squishy chew toys. This was not bullying. This was straight-up attempted murder. Suddenly, he hears Sharp weakly crying out for his mommy. Lucas pats the poor guy, promising a platter of ice-cold vengeance is totally on the menu. Kai speedruns back with Tishi in tow. She completely freaks out, but Lucas promises they will not kick the bucket today, though they will be playing sleepy time for the next few days. Kai praises Lucas's clutch first aid skills, while a furious Tishi threatens to unleash her Karen mode on the student council. Kai totally shoots that down. The teachers are practically wearing blindfolds when it comes to their class anyway. Lucas coldly states he could not care less. Suddenly his face shifts into absolute Demon King territory. Tishi gulps. The usually gentle sweetheart has just morphed into a walking, terrifying nightmare. Blood for blood. He confidently declares he is going to collect this debt with extreme interest. Next morning, Lucas kicks open the student council doors, challenging Greg's class to a good old-fashioned beatdown. The stakes win, and they get a groveling apology. Lose, and they cough up their precious S-rank bonus loot. Theod smugly hits them with the classic "where is your proof, bro" excuse. He glances sideways, asking if this so-called bonus is just that trashy little pendant. Theod literally tosses the pendant on the floor like garbage, demanding they bet something actually shiny. Seeing the absolute disrespect, Kai practically pops a blood vessel. Lucas holds his rabid friend back, daring Theod to name his price. Theod instantly demands their Allen Tower golden tickets. The loser gets permanently banned from the tower. Without blinking, Lucas accepts the insane bet. The deathmatch is locked in for 2 days later, and the entire school rumor mill instantly explodes. All the salty freshmen, completely jealous of the martial arts squad, start blindly fanboying for Greg's side. Meanwhile, trash tier Greg actually praises the 3 cowards who jumped his students. Sig stays perfectly silent but ramps up their combat training to absolute hellish levels. Duel day arrives. The arena is packed tighter than a crowded subway car. Predictably, the audience is absolutely swarming with Greg's obnoxious, loud-mouthed cheerleaders. Loudmouth Laya starts yapping, mocking Lucas to run away crying before he gets publicly humiliated in front of everyone. Lucas just smirks. They have absolutely no clue what is coming. The referee finally signals the bloodbath to begin. Kai swaggers into the ring, as the first martial arts champion staring down that icy nerd Andre. Ding ding, Kai instantly blitzes forward, casually batting away Andre's frosty projectiles like they are annoying flies. Andre's jaw totally drops. Kai completely trolls him, asking if that chilly breeze was his ultimate move. But plot twist, the sneaky mage laid a trap, totally banking on Kai having 0 brain cells. Bam, Kai is suddenly sandwiched between massive ice spikes. Andre gloats, just like a classic anime villain. The ice aggressively shrinks inward, violently slicing into Kai and drawing fresh blood. That is what you get for playing with magic, you meathead, Andre smugly brags. Kai hangs there like a sad popsicle while Andre demands his surrender. From the peanut gallery, Laya absolutely roasts him. She arrogantly offers Lucas mercy if he just bows down and quits right now. Lucas hits her with a chilling death glare. Are you quite done flapping your useless gums? Back in the ring, Andre steps way too close. He totally misses the bubbling mountain beast lava hidden in Kai's hand. Laya spots it and shrieks for him to run. But boom, a giant fiery explosion absolutely rocks the arena. Miraculously, Andre barely leaps backward out of the blast zone, completely uninjured. But he is shaking like a leaf. He realizes Kai is an absolute madman, willing to blow himself up just to land a spicy hit. Andre's still lost in thought when Bam Kai teleports behind him, slicing his underarm with a wicked blade. Andre stumbles back screaming, but the crowd's jaws drop at Kai. The dude's legs are literally roasted black. Total madness. The absolute lunatic actually blew off his own limbs just to shatter that freezing ice prison. Plot twist, Kai is just following the master plan. Lucas already gave him the ultimate cheat code to break Andre. Meanwhile, Andre's ego is completely shattered, bleeding from a mere martial artist, pure humiliation. Still, the arrogant mage smirks. With those crispy fried legs, Kai is not escaping a second time. Andre blasts another icy barrage, but Kai yeets a lava slime bomb right back. Boom, a massive smoke cloud erupts. Using the smokescreen, Kai blitzes forward like an absolute sleep-deprived psycho out for blood. Andre shrieks in pure terror at the incoming madman. He violently spams an ice wall, but Kai's fist absolutely demolishes it. Closing the gap, Kai flashes a demonic grin. I despise ice mages, he whispers. You guys always slip up. Andre squeals like a terrified toddler, desperately begging the madman to stay back. Wham! Kai delivers a devastating headbutt, instantly shattering those nerdy glasses. Andre launches across the arena, violently smashing into solid concrete. Fading out, Andre's mind breaks. A mere human's fists completely obliterated his magical barrier. His arrogant pride gets totally crushed by a basic brawler, and just like that, Kai claims an impossibly glorious victory. Strutting back to base, Kai flexes to Lucas about his own legendary awesomeness. Catching a tossed healing potion, Kai scratches his head. Bro, I have been bursting with infinite stamina all day, no idea why. Clueless idiot. He is only overpowered because sneaky Lucas secretly spiked his morning cereal with a custom-brewed mega-buffing steroid. With match 1 secured, the fierce Tishi steps into the arena, her unlucky target, the arrogant magic user, Laya. Kai instantly panics for her safety, but Lucas just smirks with absolute confidence. Relax, man. It is Tishi. She is practically unstoppable. Down below, an overly confident Laya scoffs. She swears Andre only lost by holding back his noble Troy family power. This absolutely infuriates Tishi. These snobby mages still refuse to acknowledge Kai's pure, hard-earned combat skills. Mid-thought danger spikes, Laya cowardly launches a completely unprovoked deadly sneak attack. Tishi gracefully evades by a hair. One wrong move, and that dirty spell would have sliced her into absolute ribbons. Laya starts yapping arrogantly. You fighters obsess over pathetic morals, she sneers. We supreme mages only care about absolute victory. Laya violently spams another magic wave, but this time Tishi's battle aura is fully locked on. Shattering the pathetic spells like glass, Tishi blitzes forward. Whack, a brutal hook right to Laya's stunned, arrogant face. The mage's brain completely short-circuits. A level 1 moving this fast. In a flash, Tishi violently grabs her wrist, ready to teach some manners. Crushing the girl's bones, Tishi coldly whispers, "Unlike you, garbage mages, true martial artists actually respect human lives." Before Laya can even process the pain, a devastating flurry of lightning-fast punches absolutely obliterates her torso. Precision Meridian strikes Bam Bam. When the brutal combo finally ends, the entire stadium sits in horrified silence. Up in the stands, Lucas grins proudly. His trusted junior definitely did not disappoint him today. Laya's eyes helplessly roll back as she collapses. Boom, a glorious second victory for the underdog martial arts squad. Disgusting Laya secretly packed highly toxic needles. Luckily, Tishi's beatdown was too fast. Worse yet, that corrupt jerk Theod actually authorized the dirty weapons. Hearing this foul play, Mina's blood absolutely boils, but Slimeball Theod just shrugs it off, claiming nobody actually died. The stadium erupts into pure chaos. Nobody expected these weaponless underdogs to completely steamroll the magical elites. Lucas's upcoming opponent is sweating buckets over this massive humiliation. Still, the fool arrogantly clings to his secret, highly dangerous, forbidden technique. Ding ding match 3 violently kicks off, and the new challenger instantly blitzes toward Lucas like a speeding bullet. This guy actually heavily trained his physical body. That is his delusional basis for thinking he can win. In his overly inflated ego, he genuinely believes his godlike speed makes him completely invisible to Lucas's pathetic eyes. Tishi squints from the sidelines. Lucas stands perfectly still, choosing an ironclad defense over some reckless offensive charge. Keeping his terrifying true power totally sealed, Lucas playfully decides to test this clown's highly praised secret arsenal. Flash step, Lucas suddenly manifests right at his face, throwing a phantom punch. He purposefully misses, letting the terrified guy desperately backflip away. The panicked challenger randomly yeets a blade away. Pure icy dread paralyzes his spine as Lucas leaks a monstrous, overwhelmingly dark aura. But wait, the desperate fool already set a sneaky trap. Trap activated. That discarded dagger magically boomerangs back, slashing violently across Lucas's neck. But our overpowered main character does not even flinch a single millimeter. This clown starts bragging about his legendary bone-crushing art. He claims absolutely nobody can survive it. Seeing our main character standing completely still, he charges back and screaming that he will literally turn every single bone in his body into absolute dust. But right before impact, Lucas casually sidesteps. He smirks, warning the guy that he is definitely walking out of this with some heavy damage. The villain's jaw literally drops. His invincible technique completely whiffed, and his target is perfectly fine. Meanwhile, Kai is sweating bullets. Seeing his friend struggling, he is absolutely convinced something is terribly wrong here. The sneaky opponent slithers up behind him, completely convinced he has secured the ultimate checkmate. Just as he goes for a fatal stab to the neck, bam, Lucas snatches his wrist mid-air. With a chilling glare, he announces playtime is officially over, and it is finally his turn to strike. Lucas casually stomps the ground. Boom, a massive smokescreen of dust explodes upward, completely swallowing them both. The bully instantly panics. He is absolutely terrified by the monstrous shockwave generated from a single casual foot tap. Trapped in the ultimate danger zone, blinded by the thick dust cloud, Lucas whispers a terrifying promise. He will not have to worry about the audience witnessing this epic beatdown. This fool actually thinks he can win. Wrong. Lucas brutally body slams him into the dirt and viciously pins his hand using his very own blade. The guy squeals like a pig. Lucas coldly mocks him, asking how it tastes to be skewered by the exact same weapon he dared to use on his precious friends. Lucas then brutally juggles the guy, batting him around like a pathetic ragdoll. Suddenly, pure horror hits the bully. He cannot summon any mana. That last devastating strike literally shredded his magical pathways to pieces. Facing absolute destruction, the tough guy persona crumbles. He desperately squeals for mercy, practically crying for Lucas to halt this merciless execution. Right on cue, the dust screen settles down. Reluctantly, our hero has no choice but to drop the trembling loser. Over in the stands, Greg is totally losing his mind. He refuses to accept this pathetic surrender, genuinely believing his guy could still win. Sigult furiously shakes his head at Greg's sheer blindness to his own student's shattered state. However, the wise teacher deeply worries this violent spectacle will drag their entire department into chaotic politics. With his flawless victory securing the sweep, the martial arts underdog students immediately erupt into absolutely wild, roaring celebrations. While our hero casually strolls back, this absolute loser attempts a cowardly sneak attack. He lunges like a rat, aiming a dirty blade right at his throat. Swoosh, Lucas literally vanishes into thin air instantly, materializing directly behind the utterly stunned attacker. Wham, he gracefully chops the coward's neck using a truly terrifying legendary martial art. Instantly, the villain feels his very life force draining away. He aggressively faceplants into the dirt, passing out cold, while hopelessly questioning what sort of demonic sorcery just hit his pathetic soul. Towering over the trash, Lucas smirks. He casually mocks the fool for never expecting a counterattack using his very own flashy technique. Up in the stands, Iowa completely freezes in sheer terror, a reaction Julia instantly catches. Confused by her sudden panic, she demands an explanation. Iowa is trembling. She flawlessly recognized that god-tier strike as the fabled Meridian Severance art, an insanely advanced move straight out of forbidden historical scriptures. For over an entire century, not a single prodigy in the whole empire could pull that off. Her mind is totally blown, frantically questioning the true monstrous identity of this mysterious freshman. Post-battle, the physical fighters throw an incredibly chaotic party. They finally secured those sweet, juicy bragging rights over their arrogant rivals. They mock the spellcasters as cowards, relying solely on cheap ambush attacks. Swollen with pure ego, these brawlers genuinely believe they can easily crush any wizard in a fair fight. Boom! Master Seagold crashes the party. He instantly bursts their ego bubble angrily, reminding them of his golden rule against becoming dangerously overconfident and cocky. A brave student foolishly talks back, bragging about their shiny beast-taming tournament victory. The master ruthlessly drops the truth bomb. They only survived because those magical monsters were already severely mentally exhausted from endless battles. He bluntly concludes their so-called triumph was pure, unadulterated dumb luck. He admits the recent brawl showcased genuine martial arts, but savagely clarifies that only the actual frontline fighters possess any real terrifying combat talent. Staring into their very souls, he demands an answer. Are they truly satisfied living like pathetic parasites, constantly hiding behind the cloaks of absolute powerhouses? He sharply asks if they desire to remain completely defenseless, prey, doomed to be brutally crushed exactly like poor Collins and Sharp. With zero sugarcoating, he declares their absolute ceiling. If they keep acting like celebrating cheerleaders, they will never achieve true legendary strength. Turning his back dramatically, the stern mentor drops a final, chilling ultimatum. If mediocrity is their absolute peak, they should pack their bags and quit immediately. The brutal reality check hits like a critical strike. Fire ignites in their eyes as the humbled squad swears an oath to achieve supreme power. Even our hero silently agrees, knowing his wise master is spitting pure, undeniable facts. Sure, fiery confidence is an essential weapon for any warrior, but raw ego unbacked by literal bone-breaking training that is just a fast track to an early grave. Stepping out, he meets Linda. She flashes a cheeky smile, playfully praising him for finally acting like a genuinely caring homeroom mentor. Sighing heavily, he humbly confesses his harshness is purely to stop these naive rookies from repeating his own tragic, deeply haunted past. Changing the subject, he asks what she needs. Suddenly serious, she reveals a classified envelope detailing the absolutely horrifying medical aftermath of our hero's victim. His mana pathways shattered into a gruesome spiderweb pattern. This screams of the ancient taboo art. The Meridian Crusher. Our arrogant noble is now crying in the infirmary, writhing in pure agony, permanently stripped of his precious magic. Cue the furious father storming the academy gates, spitting absolute fire because his precious heir is officially ruined. Screaming for ultimate vengeance, he demands the entire martial arts division be completely annihilated. Bam Sigald kicks the doors open with perfect timing, exposing that Laya's cowardly gang used the exact same dirty magic on his own students. With zero hesitation, the instructor drops the ultimate truth bomb. Those arrogant magic students are the real undeniable villains here. Staring down the headmaster, Sigald demands that Greg and his rotten disciples face the absolute wrath of justice. Greg physically recoils in shock. Why on earth is this madman flipping the script right now? Panicking, Greg frantically tries to drag the spotlight back. Sweating bullets, he screams that the real issue is finding the monster who obliterated Blake with a taboo strike. But Sigald just smirks. A taboo strike, please. A mere martial arts rookie could never wield the legendary Meridian Crusher. Deep down, the furious noble actually agrees. In his twisted mind, an absolute failure like Lucas. A trash-tier kid abandoned by the heavens, mastering an ancient demonic art, absolutely impossible. Desperate for a scapegoat, Greg aggressively points out that a master could easily execute it. And with a venomous glare, he firmly declares Sigald was the only martial arts master present at the arena. The atmosphere instantly freezes. Sigald steps right into Greg's personal space, radiating pure intimidation. He savagely whispers, "If I possessed that lethal art, you would have been dust years ago." The nervous headmaster quickly begs for a logical explanation. Sigald simply shrugs with a smirk. Maybe the universe finally served that brat some glorious karma. Of course, he had interrogated our main character earlier, but Lucas maintained an absolute poker face, denying everything. Instead, our brilliant hero spun a legendary tale. He revealed Blake tossed mountains of gold at dark guild assassins to learn dirty torture tricks. Thanks to his rotten hobby that spoiled Noble, became notoriously infamous throughout the entire criminal underworld. Lucas smoothly deduced that an underworld boss silenced the kid to protect their bloody secrets, using the chaotic tournament as the perfect, flawless cover. Selling the lie perfectly, even the skeptical headmaster completely swallows the bait. But the aristocratic father explodes with pure wrath, refusing to let his son's tragedy be dismissed by wild ghost stories. Greg snarls that it is nothing but absolute fiction. Surprisingly, Sigald actually nods in agreement. But with a deadly grin, he drops the ultimate logic bomb. It makes way more sense than a novice mastering a god-tier demonic art. Still, his aura darkens. He warns them a terrifying monster capable of such horror could truly be hiding among them. Leaning in closely, he advises Greg to watch his back, lest he accidentally trigger the wrath of this absolute apex predator. A chilling reminder echoes through the room. The Meridian Crusher can instantly vaporize the future of even the most heaven-defying magic genius. Meanwhile, hidden away in the dusty library archives, Otani conducts a highly classified investigation. Bingo. The forbidden manual was recently touched, and the exact lethal hand signs Lucas flashed flawlessly match the ancient text. Cut to the Misty Mountain Hot Springs. Our glorious main character is currently playing doctor, performing a miraculous healing ritual on his battered comrades. Blood-curdling screams echo through the mountains, mangled flesh and torn muscles rapidly weave back together in a terrifying display of regeneration. Watching their torment, Lucas offers zero mercy. They must endure the hellish agony, proving that raw martial arts healing rivals even the fanciest divine magic. Fast forward a few days, Holt and Catherine finally step into the bustling streets of Dacktown. Holt is absolutely buzzing with pure golden retriever energy, hyping up the long-awaited reunion with their precious kids. But destiny demands a pit stop. Standing before the massive Miranda estate gates, overwhelming anxiety completely washes over Catherine's pale face. Her husband gently checks on her. She forces a tight smile, claiming the ghosts of her buried past are just creeping back. Suddenly dust kicks up. Her little brother Cyan gallops out to intercept them like a glorious knight. 10 long years of separation shatter in an instant. Tears stream down her cheeks. Back then, a catastrophic beastman invasion violently drowned the Empire's borders in endless blood. Humanity stood shoulder to shoulder, desperately fighting back the monstrous horde. 3 apocalyptic days of absolute slaughter left both sides crippled. Amidst that mountain of corpses, a valiant young knight named Holt collided with the brilliant mage Catherine. Forged in the fires of death itself, their souls completely intertwined, swearing an unbreakable oath of eternal love. But classic noble drama struck. Her tyrannical father violently rejected the union, shattering their bloodline bonds, transforming Catherine into an absolute outcast exiled from the glorious Miranda family forever. Cyan's jaw completely drops. Wait, the kids literally just met at the academy. He drops a massive lore bomb on Catherine. Their stubborn dad has secretly been tracking Julia, his total mini-me. Catherine's eyes go wide. The grumpy boomer actually acknowledged her kid's very existence. Cyan casually drops the ultimate bait. Come back home, Dad secretly desperately misses you. Catherine beams with total joy, but Cyan instantly bursts her happy bubble. The VIP invite is strictly solo. Hole completely reads the room. Being the absolute ultimate gigachad husband, he happily nudges Catherine to go home while he hits the front lines. She instantly starts aggressively protesting, but Hole flashes a totally warm smile. He is simply absolutely thrilled his beloved wife can finally visit home. He swears to sweep her off her feet right after his military deployment ends. Cyan watches this massive simp energy in pure awe. Hole completely swallowed his warrior pride and totally begged Cyan for help purely to fix Catherine's extremely messy family drama. But despite this epic romance, their dad literally couldn't care less. Why? Because she eloped with a total meathead martial artist, Cyan desperately prays some legendary hero will eventually smash society's totally unfair anti-martial artist bias. Meanwhile, back at the academy, the chaotic trio hits the cafeteria for their daily grub. The rumor mill is completely blazing. Wild whispers of a rogue assassin crashing the break are entirely everywhere. Kai suddenly bounces to play delivery boy for his bros, leaving Julia entirely alone with Lucas. Lucas spots a seriously shiny new hairpin on Julia. Plot twist, Salty Iowa actually gifted it, claiming it is a totally official Miranda family peace offering. Lucas grins like a super proud mastermind. He instantly completely connects the dots. The Miranda family is obviously buttering up his insanely genius little sister. He totally nudges Julia to play nice with Iowa for mom's sake. Cue Julia hardcore panicking. She entirely forgot to write mom about becoming the brand new class rep. Right during her frantic letter, enter Mina, the sneaky upperclassman. Mina absolutely dramatically showers her with praise, hailing the new class rep as the future absolute legend of the entire academy. Cue the spicy drama, Iowa violently shoves her chair back and totally rage quits the cafeteria. Flashback to a few minutes ago, Salty Iowa furiously stormed into Linda's office, aggressively protesting Julia's shiny new title. But Linda hit her with super cold hard facts. Julia literally outclasses her in absolutely every single stat, making her the undisputed alpha for the job. The teacher totally begged her to take the loss gracefully. But spoiler alert, Iowa absolutely fiercely refuses to accept getting repeatedly stomped by Julia. Her competitive fire is raging. She is totally obsessed with proving this was blatant teacher's pet favoritism. Watching her dramatically stomp off Julia entirely spots the truth. Her rival is purely fueled by spite and completely skipped lunch. Mina casually fishes for juicy gossip. Are they actually besties? Julia innocently nods, totally playing the sweet roommate card. Julia totally fangirls over Iowa, hyping up her absolutely mind-bending and ultra-rare mental magic skills. Mina nods along with a super sly grin. But before dropping the real tea, boom, she instantly slaps down a soundproof magic circle for absolute total privacy. The gossiping instantly shifts gears. Smart mental magic users, they are absolute walking red flags and ridiculously insanely exhausting to deal with. Mina awkwardly tries flexing her own wind magic. But Lucas has literally zero chill. His absolute nonsense radar is pinging and he bluntly tells her to skip to the main quest. Mina physically winces. This dude's defensive walls are totally impenetrable. But she still has the ultimate cheat code, Julia's pure total admiration. Admitting brutal defeat to his sharp instincts, Mina finally totally drops the incredibly fake, sweet-talking act. Time for the real plot. Do they know about the super lethal magical beast mountain range hiding right behind campus? Apparently the entire forest's ecosystem has completely glitched out into a massive chaotic mess. The absolute mob spawn rates are plummeting. Scrub-tier beasts are completely vanishing, and those extremely common magic crest leopard cubs literally entirely wiped from the map. The plot dramatically thickens. 3 days ago, Imperial scouts stumbled straight into a terrifying high-level boss lair. Julia instantly starts entirely panic sweating. Did they totally find Uru's secret base? But Lucas pulls a total masterclass diversion, aggressively fake coughing to cover her completely totally obvious reaction. Playing it totally cool, Lucas casually asks the ultimate question. Is she dragging them into a forest raid? He strictly questions the quest's true difficulty. Sensing Lucas is totally not buying her sketchy pitch, Mina finally absolutely drops the ultimate bait. Clearing this completely guarantees a massive 100 academy points. Ding, his eyes literally turn into shiny dollar signs, 100 points. Suddenly he is incredibly confident they can totally carry. Meanwhile, at the totally tense Miranda estate, Catherine survives an incredibly awkward family dinner with Cyan and patriarch Soa. Cyan is internally violently screaming. His petty dad seriously heartlessly dumped Catherine in the guest room, even though her old bedroom is completely spotless. What a grudge. The old man's stubbornness is truly legendary. Plus, Catherine is practically miserably poking her food, making the dining room feel way more like a terribly totally awkward funeral service. Suddenly Soa finally breaks the total silence, mentioning he heard about Julia's absolutely totally insanely epic skills. Because of this exact reason, Soa finally caves, declaring he will gladly accept the little one as his grandkid. Overjoyed, Catherine pours out her heartfelt gratitude. She eagerly hypes up Lucas as a top-tier martial arts prodigy, but the old man brutally shoots her down. Zero interest. The Miranda bloodline only respects supreme magical talent. Hearing this stubborn boomer logic, Catherine sighs. Her dad will literally never respect martial arts. Suddenly, an anxious attendant violently bursts through the heavy double doors. Gasping for air, he delivers an urgent update. The elite scouts at the Magical Beast Mountain Range just dropped a massive bombshell. Hold up, Cyan and Catherine freeze in pure shock. Since when was an active operation going down in that monster-infested death zone? Soa scans the parchment, expression darkening. The Vanguard stumbled upon a hidden subterranean zone beneath the beast lair and the threat level unknown. Panic mode activated, the siblings leap up, begging for answers. An anomaly out there is terrible news, especially since the academy sits nearby. The Grand Mage demands absolute calm. He hits them with pure logic. Between elite professors and his hidden shadows on campus, those kids are basically inside an absolute safe zone. Turning his back, Soa issues a strict command. Catherine must stay put until this chaotic anomaly is fully contained. Catherine bites her lip and nods, but a mother's agonizing intuition never rests. Meanwhile, at the academy, ambitious Mina confidently struts toward the guild counter. Plot twist, the clerk drops a total bombshell. To tackle this raid, she absolutely needs a full party of 5 awakened members. The tea gets spilled. The student council president sneakily overhauled the system overnight because that mountain cave is currently glitching with dangerous anomalies. Mina narrows her eyes. Theodore. That tricky bastard is definitely pulling the strings from the shadows. His evil master plan is obvious. He is banking on the tragic reality that she literally has 0 friends. Watching this sad display, Lucas connects the dots. Mina is basically a social outcast. Gathering 5 people is an impossible rank S quest. The puzzle pieces finally click. No wonder she has been shamelessly simping for Julia ever since the entrance exams. Dragging her feet, Mina admits utter defeat. But Lucas smirks, telling her to chill. He and Julia will handle the stressful recruitment phase. She bows in immense gratitude, though a massive sweat drop rolls down her face. She feels incredibly guilty using these overpowered sweethearts like chess pieces. Right on cue, Lucas reels in Kai. The golden retriever boy excitedly accepts the party invite. His hype levels are breaking the ceiling. Mom and Dad just gifted him ridiculously overpowered new gear, and he is itching for a test drive. Julia drafts Sweet Mia. Looking at this rookie squad, Mina internally screams over rolling with pure freshmen. Leaning in, Lucas quietly questions skipping Iowa. Julia sighs dramatically. Iowa is currently throwing a massive, entirely stubborn temper tantrum. This chaotic group looks like total noobs. Regardless, Mina plans to violently hard carry this entire operation using her skills and Julia's raw magical firepower. Time to move. Even spamming high-tier acceleration buffs reaching that cursed monster den takes 12 grueling hours. They need to hit the road immediately. Hours later, the chaotic squad finally hits the dungeon. A majestic imperial banner flutters near the entrance, proof that the royal vanguard is already balls deep investigating the ominous cavern. Lucas secretly sighs in relief. Thank goodness, they dodged Uru's terrifying turf. But wait, a vicious shadow suddenly plunges from the rocky ceiling. Before Lucas blinks, Mina blitzes forward. Her razor-sharp wind blades instantly dice the mob into confetti, but suddenly, another bloodthirsty creature targets her blind spot. Bam! The reliable tank heroically parries the lethal strike with his massive heavy shield. Kai flashes a brilliant grin, telling her to leave frontline brawls to the boys. Lucas gracefully joins the fray, begging Shield Bro to stop hogging glory. Challenge accepted, Kai's competitive spirit violently ignites, loudly daring his buddy to keep pace with his ridiculous agility. Meanwhile, Mia perfectly flexes her flawless support mechanics. A shimmering hydro shield blooms outward, guaranteeing the front line is entirely safe. Mina watches in absolute awe. This impromptu chaotic squad possesses flawless dream-level synergy. Noticing her MVP just chilling behind Mina wildly gestures for Julia to finally flex her ridiculous stats. Oh boy, she brought the thunder. Julia casually summons a terrifying high-voltage lightning storm, instantly roasting the flying pests. Kai's jaw literally hits the floor. Even stoic, Mina mutters in pure disbelief. When an oblivious Julia innocently tilts her head, Mina frantically waves it off as nothing. The truth hits her like a brick. She totally misjudged these goofy freshmen. This underdog party actually packs some seriously heavy, elite-level firepower. With the gruesome mob wave wiped out, angelic Mia casts a soothing magical healing spell. Being the ultimate hype man, Kai shamelessly worships his divine goddess. A tomato-red Mia violently flails her arms, begging him to stop the embarrassing overreaction. Brutal honesty time. If her massive crush Lucas had uttered those romantic words, her delicate brain would have completely short-circuited. She frantically shakes the daydream away. Honestly, keeping her precious Lucas completely scratch-free is the only true primary objective here. Marching deeper into the abyss, their minds are instantly blown by the colossally epic scale of the cavern. Mina's magic illuminates the abyss, but as they venture deeper, the cavern's sheer massive scale leaves them completely speechless and absolutely stunned. Kai whistles in awe. You could march an entire underground army through this massive hollowed space. Lucas squints suspiciously. This isn't natural architecture. It's been artificially hollowed out. He heavily warns them that magical beasts are definitely lurking in the darkest shadows. Mina nods grimly. The deeper we descend, the deadlier this cursed dungeon gets. Suddenly, a deadly goblin ambush triggers. But before they blink, Julia's devastating lightning fries them crisp. Mina realizes these subterranean creeps have absolutely zero vision from living in the total darkness. Kai smirks confidently. He has a brilliant master plan. Sitting ducks aren't his style. Let us bring the bloody hunt outside. Kai unleashes his legendary aggro strategy. He sprints back, screaming, dragging a massive monster train behind him. It is the perfect bait. Julia and Mina trigger their magic trap, obliterating the entire mob instantly. Maya's jaw drops in pure amazement. Lucas nods, admitting the brutal strategy is flawlessly efficient. Lucas watches closely. Pulling mobs into area of effect zones, that is classic Earth gaming logic. He seriously wonders if Kai is a reincarnated player hiding his identity. Step 1. Kai expertly herds the clueless meat shields. Step 2. The insanely overpowered girls nuke them flat. Kai flexes his shiny advanced gear. He claims you need premium items for this. He playfully mocks Lucas for stealing his glorious spotlight. But honestly, Lucas could not care less about fame. Riding Kai's chaotic momentum, the squad blazes forward. They slice through beast hordes, effortlessly marching straight toward the dark heart of the cursed dungeon. They even casually stroll past a glittering treasure hoard. The girls finally call a timeout. But Kai is drunk on the farming loop. He excitedly sprints off to pull another massive monster train. Kai triumphantly returns with a monstrous horde, only to find his precious party completely missing out. Plot twist, they brutally ditched him to hide in a crevice. Denied his break, a crying Kai furiously kites the angry mob back toward the cave entrance. Lucas deadpans from the shadows, calling it a noble sacrifice for his sins. Julia quietly presses her hands together in solemn prayer. Missing the joke entirely, Maya goes full shonen protagonist. She vows to save him no matter what. The squad sweat drops. Is she seriously treating this gag so dramatically? A bone-chilling roar shatters the cave. Maya panics, but Lucas grimaces. That was not Kai. The survey squad just woke up the dungeon nightmare boss. Mina suggests investigating, but Lucas gags. A sickening, suffocating stench of fresh blood is heavily pouring from the center. Mina frantically distributes healing potions, and the tense squad immediately sprints toward the danger zone. Sweating profusely, Mina hopes the elite survey soldiers have already neutralized whatever nightmare is down there. They violently burst into the chamber only to find an absolute bloody massacre. Pure terror suffocates Mina. She screams at everyone to retreat completely immediately. Boom, a colossal minotaur manifests. Gripping a giant axe, it effortlessly dangles the broken survey captain. The beast towers over Mina. Her blood runs completely cold. A disaster class. Monstrosity shouldn't be here. The massive hoof rises to crush her, but Lucas is already moving like pure lightning. Lucas's mind races. The game lore is broken. This apocalyptic monster does not belong here at all. He viciously shoves Mina aside, bracing for a lethal impact crash. The devastating axe strike fiercely bounces off a miraculous ice wall. Julia desperately rushes to her brother, checking his injuries and demanding who cast divine magic. Lucas points a shaking finger. It is the half-dead captain being crushed in the boss's fist. The Minotaur roars completely furiously. The party is utterly stunned. Despite his catastrophic injuries, the hero still valiantly protected them. Spitting blood, the heroic captain screams, "Flee, warn the Imperial Army. The ancient forbidden seal has totally shattered." Enraged, the demon violently crushes his grip. The captain's agonizing screams end in brutal, sudden unconsciousness. The behemoth glares, promising death. Suddenly, the captain's eyes snap open. With his dying breath, he erupts a glacial fortress, trapping them both inside. "Run away," he roars at the terrified kids. "Tell the Empire everything." Lucas bites his lip until it bleeds, promising to return for brutal revenge. The squad sprints for survival. As the captain perishes, his icy prison slowly crumbles completely down. Absolutely furious, the monstrous Minotaur prepares to devour the annoying soldier's corpse. Bam! Julia crashes the party with a massive lightning bolt. She roars at the beast. That guy is a legendary warrior, not some bug you can just step on. Mina swoops in with her wind magic, snatching the falling soldier as they make a mad dash for safety. But Lucas slams on the brakes. "I will hold the line," he declares, standing his ground against the beast. Mina thinks he has lost his mind. It is a disaster-class nightmare. Lucas just smirks, knowing he is in for a brutal fight. Before they can even blink, the raging beefcake catches up. It smashes the cavern roof, raining absolute chaos down on them. Lucas gears up to throw hands, but Mina intercepts. "As the vice president, protecting this squad is my absolute duty." Lucas is genuinely stunned. He totally pegged her as a spoiled brat, but this girl actually has the heart of a lion. Julia refuses to budge too. "No way, I am ditching my brother and Mina." Mia drops a tactical bomb. She already fired a distress spell to Kai, waiting at the cave entrance for backup. With the cavalry on the way, she bets their survival on an all-out coordinated team raid. Sweating bullets, Mina doubts their combined firepower can even dent this boss monster. But Lucas just hypes them up, demanding absolute faith. Boom! Lucas rockets forward first. His fist blazes with pure ki as he roars. "We are absolutely not dying to this overgrown cow." The enraged beast swings a massive counterattack, obliterating the earth where Lucas just stood. Whoosh! Lucas dances past the crater, slamming a devastating hook into its ribs. Mina screams, "Keep pulling its aggro. I will strike from the blind spot." The monstrous beast is completely losing its mind over this tiny human's insane dodging. But plotting in the shadows, Julia is cooking up the ultimate magical nuke. Flash! She drops from the ceiling like an avenging angel. "Keep your filthy hooves off my big brother," crackle. A blinding lightning storm instantly fries the beast, making it shriek in absolute glorious agony. Lucas exploits the stun, battering its pressure points to totally paralyze it. Boom! Julia capitalizes with her ultimate finisher, the Thunder Arrow. Not wanting to miss out, Mina unleashes a razor-sharp wind cutter into the fray. The brutal combo attack strikes true. The monster violently coughs up black blood and bites the dust. But the trash-talking beast growls, swearing bloody revenge once its legs regenerate. Maya just laughs. "Like I would let you," she blasts it with torrential water magic. But shockingly, its legs fully heal instantly. It mocks their pathetic shower. Dripping with deadly intent, the brute promises to devour them absolutely raw. Julia smirks from high above. "Did your tiny brain forget basic science? Water plus electricity equals your absolute doom?" She glares with pure fury. "This is payback for our fallen comrades, Zizut." She completely nukes the beast with 10,000 volts of lightning. The elemental combo is devastating. Electricity violently fries every inch of its wet body. Lucas is completely mind-blown by his sister's legendary 200 IQ play. The overwhelming shock is too much. The massive boss monster crashes down completely knocked out cold. Lucas leaps onto the beast, preparing the ultimate killing blow. Suddenly, pure demonic energy explodes from the monster. Lucas violently backflips away as everyone freezes in absolute terror. In a flash, the nightmare boss is back up. Its murderous aura is infinitely more terrifying than before. Far at the entrance, Kai shivers as the monstrous killing intent washes over him. He instantly knows it is a total code red. He sprints like a maniac for backup, praying his squad can survive just a little longer. A terrifying demonic crest burns onto the beast's chest. Boom! It unleashes a catastrophic, earth-shattering shockwave. Its insane regeneration finishes transforming the brute into an absolute creature from hell. Blood drips from Lucas's ears from just the raw pressure alone. Panic sets in as he frantically spins around to check his party. His heart drops. Mina had burned her absolute last drop of mana defending the squad. but the demonic impact was too devastating. Battered and completely drained, Mina's eyes roll back and she totally collapses. And the absolute worst-case scenario, his little sister is out cold, bleeding horribly from her head. Snap, every single mental limiter inside Lucas completely shatters. He launches himself at the monster with a blazing god-tier strike. The beast arrogantly raises a hand to block. But bloodlusted Lucas does not care crunch. He completely pulverizes the demon's entire hand. He is an unstoppable juggernaut. He targets the second arm and utterly shatters it into a million pieces. But the hellspawn just keeps roaring. A chilling realization hits Lucas. This psycho beast does not feel an ounce of pain. Sickeningly fast, the severed limbs violently regenerate. Before Lucas can react, the beast's giant axe cleaves the air. Lucas barely backflips out of the danger zone, dodging an absolute one-way ticket to the afterlife. But wait, bro is coughing up blood just from the shockwave. The monster actually praises his tank stats before charging right back in. Lucas plays a deadly game of tag in the tight space. But the enraged Minotaur goes total bulldozer, violently smashing the cave walls. Bad move. The ceiling crumbles and raining death threatens to crush the girls below. A massive boulder plummets straight toward Julia, but big bro Lucas intercepts like an absolute boss, shielding his little sister. The Minotaur unleashes another deafening roar. The narrow cave walls amplify the sonic boom into a literal soundwave of doom. Lucas throws up his guard, but the sheer acoustic pressure absolutely pulverizes his internal organs. He vomits blood, stun-locked, and totally paralyzed. The boss monster smells blood and charges in for the instant fatality. But nope, Lucas tanks the giant axe with raw defense. He counterpunches the beefcake, sneering that the fat lady hasn't sung until he is actually dead. That heavy blow disarms the beast. Lucas instantly snatches the fallen weapon and rushes the monster like an absolute madman. He screams that this oversized cow will never touch his party members while there is still breath in his lungs. Wham! Lucas buries the axe right into the beast's skull, triggering an agonizing ear-piercing shriek. Bro does not hesitate. He spams vertical chops, turning the boss into absolute mincemeat before stylishly leapfrogging behind it for phase 2. The weapon shatters into pieces, but who needs weapons? Lucas upgrades to throwing devastating bare-knuckle haymakers. Suddenly, the giant beast successfully grabs him. Before getting squashed, Lucas activates a lethal technique, instantly obliterating the monster's giant hand. Pitch-black veins bulge across his skin. Our main character looks completely unhinged, like his sanity just rage-quit the chat. The Minotaur is terrifying, but Lucas looks way scarier. He launches forward, winding up a truly demonic punch. This monster never learns. It attempts to block, but Lucas brutally smashes right through its pathetic defense. A devastating chest kick deletes half the monster's health. Raining down a brutal combo, Lucas promises he will completely obliterate its existence. At this exact moment, bro has totally abandoned his humanity. His brain is stuck on one glitchy objective: violently eradicate the beast standing before him. In a blink, the boss is literally sliced in half, completely bamboozled by its own sudden execution. The giant corpse thuds down, yet an absolutely feral Lucas refuses to stop tearing it to shreds. The monster's dying shrieks finally wake the girls, utterly shocked they haven't seen a game-over screen. Searching for her brother, Julia spots him furiously, stomping the dead boss like a complete psychopath out for blood. Panic hits Julia. Her big brother is officially going berserk, confirmed by the terrifying blood-curdling roar he suddenly unleashes. Plot twist: the creepy chest insignia is secretly fueling his demonic rage, totally hijacking his mind. Cut to the Hall of Wrath, where a megaboss demon violently materializes. He throws a massive tantrum about returning to this garbage world. It is Valsaba, Lord of Controlled Wrath, still super salty. The martial god previously wrecked him. Enter Gelsida, an absolute baddie and higher-tier demon lord, making her dramatic entrance into the hall. She is weirdly hyped that Valsaba woke up entirely thanks to their carefully hand-picked human key. Valsaba claims his dark throne, questioning if this Lucas kid actually possesses the ultimate main character energy. She drops a vague smirk. Valsaba then chuckles, noting that Lucas is actively resisting her demonic brainwashing. Scene switch. Inside the cave, an enraged Lucas is still furiously mashing the attack button on a dead corpse. Julia tackles him, crying out for him to snap back. Maya spams a calming buff, but it gets resisted. Instead, bro charges his ultimate skill. Maya shrieks at Julia to dodge before his friendly fire nuke completely annihilates them. Dragged backwards, Julia desperately shrieks her big brother's name in pure agony. Those sibling tears act like a massive debuff to his rage. The girls watch in absolute terror, bracing for impact. Thank goodness Lucas shatters the cursed insignia's control, his sanity finally rebooting back online. He immediately drops an apology, telling Julia to back up. She obeys, and Lucas casually pops a massive cleansing skill to wash away the dark corruption. The holy energy wave completely deletes the messy Minotaur leftovers like a giant vacuum cleaner. Seeing the main character logic restored, the relieved girls immediately sprint over to check his status. A tearful Julia asks for a health check, and he flashes a confident "I am totally fine" smile. Julia rants about almost having a heart attack, promising no more berserker modes. They suddenly get pinged by Kai bragging about bringing the cavalry. Meanwhile, inside the gloomy Hall of Wrath, Jelsa casually tells Valsaba to hold their horses. Their master plan: throw more brutal trials at Lucas. The ultimate test: eliminating his beloved family, especially poor Julia. Suddenly, a distant voice pierces through his subconscious, urging him to desperately wake up. His eyelids flutter open. His family surrounds him, but wait. This eerie landscape is definitely not his home. Pure panic sets in. He throws a devastating aura-infused punch at the unknown threat. Horrifying realization strikes. His body is moving on autopilot, swallowed whole by that familiar blinding rage. He screams for his family, only to snap awake and find himself staring at the boring school infirmary ceiling. Oops! He accidentally clocked Kai right in the jaw. Poor Kai is absolutely dumbfounded by this sleep-punching betrayal. Kai angrily claims he would have totally destroyed him if he wasn't already injured. Lucas nervously apologizes while Kai storms off sporting a hilarious red clown nose. Left completely alone, our protagonist scratches his head. What was up with that totally uncool nightmare? Is that creepy cave energy still haunting him? He recalls that terrifying sensation of lost control. The same dark aura that mutated that bandit. The bitter truth hits hard. He literally went berserk because he let pure, unadulterated fury take the wheel. Seriously, who actually has the mental zen to suppress their blinding rage during a life-or-death deathmatch? Time for a genius plan. He just needs a dependable babysitter nearby to physically restrain his impending rampages during battle. Wait, never mind. That idea is absolute garbage. His only backup on deadly missions are squishy academy students. Asking mere rookies to block his absolute berserker mode, that is just begging for a complete disaster. The brutal reality hits him. He must become the one to stop his own madness. Meanwhile, Teacher Seigold marches toward the infirmary. He overhears two gossiping nurses discussing poor, heavily wounded Mina. They whisper about how Mina bravely shielded two absolute deadweights from the supposedly elite martial arts division. Whoosh! Seigold detects a monstrous advanced aura leaking from Lucas's room. He instantly dashes forward, leaving dust trails behind. Inside the chaotic room. Surprise! Our boy actually pulled off a flawless shadow clone technique. Two identical copies stand before him. He recalls the ancient texts. A clone's max power is only 50%. Doing the math. Popping 3 copies means his overwhelming aura gets painfully chopped up and evenly divided. 1/6 power per copy. Pathetic. He instantly dispels them, knowing these weaklings could never physically restrain his monstrous rage. Still, they could perfectly serve as mere meat shields to buy him precious escape time. Bam! Seigold kicks the door open, looking intensely furious. He coldly lists every single bizarre anomaly since Lucas enrolled. The interrogation begins. Seigold drops the pleasantries, demanding to know what monstrous entity Lucas truly is. Cold sweat drips down his face. Our guy plays the ultimate fool, nervously stammering absolute denial. He feeds him the classic protagonist lie. He claims he just wants to learn awesome martial arts. Flash step, Seigold teleports behind him for a lethal neck strike, but boom. Lucas flawlessly deflects the teacher's assassination attempt. Their eyes meet in a deadly stare-down. The gig is up. Seigold demands to know the kid's true secret power. Oscar-worthy acting returns. He blinks innocently, pretending to have absolutely zero hidden, overpowered talents. Internally, he knows this absolute unit of a teacher would be a legendary bodyguard. Yet trusting him is a massively risky gamble. Plot twist. Before the deadly interrogation continues, Mama Catherine majestically kicks the door open, fiercely glaring at the scary teacher. Oh crap, Seigold suddenly remembers it is visiting day. Overprotective parents are officially swarming the sacred academy grounds. Catherine roars with terrifying motherly aura demanding space. Little Julia peeks out curiously, pointing at the frozen teacher. Crisis management engaged Lucas immediately throws on a fake smile, introducing the terrifying assassin as his totally normal homeroom instructor. He smoothly lies, claiming they were just enjoying some friendly extra combat tutoring. Teacher was simply explaining why completely avoiding crazy strong monsters is the absolute smartest move. Seigold violently twitches. He realizes this cheeky brat sensed his mother's approaching footsteps and used her as a literal meat shield. Mom totally buys the act. She lovingly orders bed rest, then shoots the teacher a menacing, polite smile that screams for him to leave. Defeated by motherly pressure, Seigold tactically retreats. After all, he has absolutely zero hard proof of this kid's monstrous crimes. Once the scary teacher vanishes, Catherine sighs deeply. She admits she was secretly crashing at the fancy Miranda estate. Why? Because her idiot son and his crazy squad keep treating deadly, life-threatening missions like a fun weekend hobby. Julia's jaw drops. Waterfalls of anime tears erupt from her eyes as she dramatically whines about missing her mom's secret extended visit. Julia launches herself like a heat-seeking missile, a full-blown koala attack on her mom. Mom's soul almost leaves her body. She taps out, begging Lucas for a rescue. but he just happily watches the chaos unfold. Lucas finally chimes in. Where did Holt run off to today? Mom drops the heavy lore. The battlefield is an absolute mess right now, so Holt played delivery boy before sprinting straight back into the war zone. A giant light bulb dings over Lucas's head. The snobby Miranda family welcomed Mom with open arms, but totally slammed the door on Holt. Then Mom pulls out the ultimate loot drop, a shiny reward from Dad because our boy casually crushed the entrance exams. The lid pops open, revealing the legendary super rare Ryan family heirloom, a truly magnificent treasured sword. Plot twist. The blade actually got wrecked years ago while bashing beastmen, and spoiler alert, absolutely nobody knows how to fix the darn thing. So it's basically an overpriced paperweight, but heirloom status is sacred. Lucas grabs the broken blade, his eyes sparkling like a kid getting candy. He puffs out his chest with absolute pride, swearing to fiercely protect this busted weapon to honor his dad's epic expectations. Meanwhile, Julia is radiating pure, unadulterated sibling jealousy. Catching her pout, the duo just giggles. Julia snaps ready to unleash absolute gremlin fury, but Lucas uses the ultimate head pat combo smoothly, reminding her that she's obviously Mom's absolute favorite child. Mom hits them with another surprise, popping open a tiny stash of premium beast pills as a special power-up just for Lucas. But wait, Julia gets exclusive home-baked sweets. Instantly, her gremlin rage evaporates, the sugar rush completely wiping her memory of being mad. She practically bounces off the walls, screaming her absolute adoration for her amazing mom. Then comes the buzzkill. A letter addressed strictly for Jeremy. Dad sent a message and some pills for his grumpy son. Since Jessica ditched the trip this time, Mom had to play the ultimate postman for these exclusive goodies. Julia violently snatches the envelope, begrudgingly agreeing to play delivery girl, even though she despises Jeremy. Fast forward to the boys' dorm. Jeremy's clueless squad taps his shoulder, announcing a super rare guest outside. Jaws literally hit the floor. The legendary first-year genius is actually in their dorm. Realizing she's Jeremy's sister, complete fanboy chaos erupts. They aggressively beg him to bring his overpowered sibling on their next epic quest. Jeremy's edgy meter explodes. He completely swats his buddy's hand away like a fly, stomping off in a jealous tantrum while his bros stand around utterly confused. The main source of his massive teenage angst, Mom and Dad haven't visited him a single time since he enrolled here. Yet they practically rolled out the red carpet for Lucas, handing him the legendary family sword just for acing exams. Jeremy's blood is absolutely boiling, because Lucas is hogging all the family spotlight. Cue the villain monologue. He fiercely vows to snatch back every ounce of glory that belongs to him. Poof, the happy reunion flies by in a flash. Mom has to teleport back to the Miranda estate for her extended vacation in town before finally heading out. No more face-to-face hugs for now, but knowing Mom is vibing nearby keeps the siblings thrilled. Meanwhile, poor Mina remains heavily battered, but Dr. Lucas quickly whips up a sneaky healing potion. He slaps a fake Miranda family label on the bottle, and boom, nobody even questions why the magical juice works absolute miracles. 2 peaceful weeks pass. Boom, the legendary Allen Tower event drops. The martial arts kids are partying hard until Sigalt crashes the vibe, ordering total silence. He hits them with the serious teacher glare. This tower tour isn't a vacation. It's hardcore mandatory curriculum, so pay close attention. Right on cue, the snobby mages start yapping, firing petty insults the second they step inside. Kai's veins are literally popping from pure rage. He's ready to throw hands, but Lucas desperately plays the cool-headed referee. Lucas sees right through the haters. The magic nerds are just salty, totally convinced the punchy-kicky kids stole their tower tickets by pure dumb luck. The drama is absolutely real. First-year mage teachers literally cried to the headmaster, whining that martial artists are totally useless in their magical empire. Their absolute sheer audacity, demanding the knuckleheads cough up their hard-earned tower invitations immediately. But plot twist, Sigalt is completely unbothered, not sweating the drama at all. Lucas squints his eyes in deep suspicion. Does Sigalt actually trust the boss man, or is he hiding an epic ace up his sleeve? Sigalt wrangles his chaotic ducklings for a mega pep talk. Dropping the strict rulebook, third years always breach the tower first, serving as the ultimate guiding examples for the fresh newbies. The massive doors rumble. The glorious third-year veterans are officially called forward to the legendary front lines. And guess who's crashing this elite party? The one and only grumpy teenager Jeremy. He's crying internal tears of joy right now. After 3 whole years of academic mediocrity, he finally squeezed in, mostly because he totally failed to crack the top 100 until literally this year. Right before marching into the abyss, unexpected support arrives. Little sister Julia actually shows up. The crowd goes wild for the freshman prodigy, but Jeremy gives his little sister the ultimate cold shoulder. Julia pouts in absolute defeat. Frankly, she only followed her nagging mother's strict orders anyway. Entering the arena, Jeremy fiercely swears to crush Lucas and claim the ultimate top spot. Inside the massive tower, the rookies must present their magic staffs forward and shut their eyes tight. An echoing voice feels familiar to Jeremy's ears. Plot twist, the mysterious controller is actually Director Otani. With the stage perfectly set, Otani channels his explosive aura to unlock the legendary gates. Brilliant golden energy erupts. Lucas instantly detects a terrifying martial arts spirit. Utterly shocked, someone surpasses Sigult here. The puzzle pieces finally click. This is why Sigult never sweated losing their precious academy slots. The epic truth, only the absolute strongest martial arts master can force Allen Tower open. Flashback to weeks ago, the stressed headmaster cornered Otani regarding endless angry complaints. Crowds were aggressively demanding he completely strip the martial arts department of their tower entry rights. Desperate for answers, the principal begged Otani to spill the truth about this dangerous, magical anomaly. Otani bluntly shot him down. He swore no such threat would ever endanger their beloved academy. Walking away like a total boss, Otani commanded him to relax, promising to open the tower on time. That's when panic hit the headmaster. Banning the martial arts kids meant zero access for everyone. Back to reality, Jeremy spawns inside the Mystic Tower, mind blown that only his soul actually teleported. Oddly enough, the virtual realm is insanely realistic. Even his trusty magic staff feels perfectly solid. His impatient squad spots him gawking like a total noob on his very first epic dungeon run. Instead of cheering their bro, these jerks totally bark orders to hurry up and grind the mission. Meanwhile, Big Brain Lucas realizes his overpowered mental senses let him casually spectate the inner tower chaos. Watching Jeremy's toxic party, Lucas sighs. The poor guy is already suffering classic dungeon bullying. Sigult catches Lucas meditating like a monk. Smirking, the teacher loudly breaks down the trial's brutal rules. He announces that upon starting, every single student gets tossed into a completely random spatial dimension. The ultimate choice awaits. They can play the lone wolf or party up for maximum survival. Squads max out at 3 members. Sigult warns them to team up or good luck surviving the nightmare floors above. Kai's eyes sparkle with massive hope, instantly praying Lucas will magically pick him as a dungeon bro. But Lucas brutally shatters his dreams. He coldly announces an exclusive alliance with Sharp and Collins instead. Doing the cruel math, Lucas explains their high tournament ranks guarantee they will spawn miles apart anyway. Poor Kai drowns in total despair over going solo. Suddenly, 3 elite seniors get violently ejected. The trembling freshmen gasp in pure horror. Those veterans got completely wiped out in record time. Sigult drops a terrifying truth bomb. The tower's phantom monsters instantly scale to match the challenger's exact power level. He laughs at arrogant rookies who foolishly rush in blind only to get humiliated in seconds. Curious, Lucas peeks at Jeremy's spiritual stream. The kid finally regrouped, charging bravely toward the perilous second floor. Reaching floor, 2 vicious shadow beasts instantly trigger a deadly ambush from the blind spot. But Jeremy flexes his insane reflexes. He magically binds the monsters, serving them up for his squad's ultimate combo strike. Slaying the Horde rains massive system points. The terrifying rumors about floor 2 are completely proven right. Fueled by adrenaline, the squad totally pops off, wiping out endless monster waves for glorious loot. Grinding like crazy, they conquer the brutal 3rd floor. Sadly, they immediately suffer a crushing team wipe. Spawning back outside in reality, Jeremy's concerned teammate points out his unusually weird silence. When asked if he is mad, Jeremy smiles. He finally tastes the exact same thrilling battlefield rush his frontline dad experiences. Soaking in that glorious defeat, he proudly feels his destiny aligning closer with his heroic father's legacy. Fast forward, Lucas masterfully pushes his mental radar, successfully hacking the spiritual feed all the way to floor 3. He discovers these trial zones constantly spawn unpredictable phantom enemies with totally crazy unique attack patterns. Scaling each floor makes even trash mobs dangerously overpowered. Lucas suspects these ghosts mirror real-world terrifying legends. If true, Lucas shudders imagining the absolutely monstrous battles Director Otani actually survived in his youth. He senses Otani quietly studying his hidden power, treating him exactly like Sigult does as a walking mystery. This left him sweating. Was it genuine kindness or a total trap? Soon after, Mina's squad grouped up for the tower raid. The frontrunners had already smashed through floor 4 and all eyes were on Mina to match their insane pace. In classic Julia fashion, she practically bounced to the ceiling, screaming her lungs out to cheer Mina on. Unlike Jeremy, she spun around to thank her hyped-up friend. The instructor checked on her previous battle wounds, but Mina confidently declared she was back at 100%. With the teacher's hyped blessing, the crowd whispered in absolute awe. Her social skills with faculty and chaotic Julia were top tier. The gossip started flowing. Mina was a second-year vice president for a reason. Her crazy combat skills were only second to the former president, but of course the haters had to ruin it. Catching their sneaky whispers, Mina sighed. The peanut gallery was already trash-talking her popularity. In a flash, Mina's elite squad blew right through to the 3rd floor. Playing it smart, they blitzed past the mob monsters, saving all their stamina for the dreaded 4th level. Lucas watched in awe, hitting floor 4 in 30 flat. Now that was true. 3rd-year powerhouse speed. Boom! Floor 4 welcomed them with massive elite beastmen towering twice the size of the previous floor's trash mobs. The horrible realization hit the squad instantly. So this was the infamous Rookie Crusher level. Forget tactical meetings, Mina went absolute goblin mode instantly, one-shotting every giant beast in her path. Feeling the rush, she smirked. That previous hellish mission had seriously leveled up her core stats. Honestly, these oversized furballs were absolute jokes compared to that nightmare minotaur from the dark cave. Dusting her hands after the total massacre, Mina casually tossed the cleanup duty to her stunned teammates. Hunting for the 5th floor staircase, she ran into another monster ambush and steamrolled them without breaking a sweat. Against all odds, her squad successfully breached floor 5, dropping the jaws of every spectator watching. Kai stared with sparkly eyes, daydreaming of floor 5 glory. But Seagull patted his back, assuring him that hitting floor 3 was already a massive win. Seagull dropped some veteran wisdom grind. Your stats slowly, and those 5th floor bosses will eventually look like total wimps. Hearing that confident tone, Lucas instantly connected the dots. Seagull had definitely raided this tower before. Minutes later, Mina's exhausted crew finally warped out of the tower. Her devastated expression said it all. She had failed her ultimate goal. Up in his fancy office, that arrogant genius Theod smirked, mocking her pathetic attempt to beat him. By lunchtime, the Golden Trio gathered around a chaotic cafeteria table. Julia happily showered Mina with praise for crushing the third-year trial. Lucas chimed in, hyping up her insane floor 5 milestone. But Mina just sulked, completely crushed that she could not shatter Theod's god-tier high score. Julia tilted her head in pure confusion. Wait, Theod also wiped on floor 5, wasn't it a perfect tie? Mina gritted her teeth. By the time those 6th floor stairs appeared, her mana and stamina were completely drained to 0. Meanwhile, that monster Theod actually climbed those cursed stairs and was inches away from breaching the 6th floor gate. That tiny gap proved a brutal reality. She was still miles behind his freakish stamina, tactical brain, and mana control. Shaking off the doom and gloom, Mina asked about their squad formations. Julia practically vibrated with joy, announcing her new duo with Aya. Of course, the classic tsundere Aya claimed she only agreed because her rich daddy forced her into it, but Lucas saw right through the act. The elite Miranda family had totally recognized Julia's insane hidden potential. They were definitely trying to pull her into their faction. Lucas then casually dropped his own bomb he was running with Sharp and Collins. Julia gasped in pure shock, totally expecting a Lucas and Kai dream team, but Lucas shrugged. Their massive rank difference made a team-up literally impossible. Cut to Kai, who was currently clinging to Lucas like a pathetic, overgrown koala despite the logical explanation. He wailed dramatically, branding Lucas a cold-blooded traitor. While teamless Kai was throwing his hilarious pity party, Tishi suddenly appeared like a savior angel, offering him the final squad slot. His tears vanished, as Kai gleefully leaped into Tishi's new squad. Out on the training field, Seagull smirked proudly at the newly formed squads. He hyped them up, reminding them of the vicious rumors floating around. Those elites loved talking absolute garbage behind their backs. Seagull challenged them to grind like crazy and shove every single insult right back down the haters' throats. Tishi immediately joined the hype train. She roared that they would completely shatter the haters' expectations. The whole squad cheered back, swearing to violently prove they absolutely deserved those Allen Tower tickets. Watching closely, Lucas marveled at Seagull's legendary hype man skills. Defying all the garbage rumors, Mr. Seagull's pep talk actually worked. The squad instantly shifted into hardcore training mode. Between their grueling sweat sessions, our favorite teach dropped massive survival lore. He even played the ultimate final boss, beating the absolute crap out of them, yet nobody whined. Their eyes were locked on the prize. At long last, the legendary freshman trial day dawned. The academy made it official. Thanks to their epic monster-taming stats, the martial arts crew was officially entering the chat. The combat squad huddled up, soaking in Seagull's final words of wisdom. His golden rule: the absolute second you spawn inside, sprint straight to the central stairs and squad up. Run if you can, but if cornered, bite down and fight like demons, taking at least one bastard down with you. Naturally, the stuck-up mage class started throwing shade, laughing that even their own homeroom teach thought they were total fodder. Those snobs practically grabbed popcorn, eagerly waiting for the combat kids to get absolutely clapped by magical beasts. Their smug prediction: a total martial arts party wipe in exactly 3 minutes. Surprisingly, hothead Kai kept his cool this time. Lucas just smirked, proud of his buddy's massive character development. With the trash talk over, the proctor commanded all 12 students to step up to the plate. Lurking in the VIP shadows was Otani. He knew the truth. The legendary war god's legacy was finally about to awaken. Taking the vanguard, Lucas led the charge. The squad marched straight into the Tower of Destiny. Spawning inside, Lucas watched everyone become good little students, dodging mobs and rushing the central stairs like ordered. So, what did our guy do? He went the exact opposite way. The first floor was basically a goblin convention, nasty little buggers who spammed blind magic before jumping you. Spotting the Green Menace squad, Lucas told Sharp and Collins to hold their horses for a second. He casually mentioned running a quick science experiment, promising to catch up with them in a flash. He popped his shadow clone to gank a goblin, but bingo, 0 system points rewarded just as he predicted. The matrix suddenly made sense. The artificial energy spawning these tower mobs was exactly the same flavor as his clone jutsu. Talk about a plot twist. The legendary martial artist who built this dungeon used the exact same aura signature, meaning his cheeky little clone hacks would completely fly under the radar. The master plan was set. A clone would play babysitter for the boys while the real Lucas speed ran the upper levels. But wait, a totally busted idea hit his brain. Could he actually shapeshift his clone into a monster? He fired up the skill, and holy crap, the disguise worked like an absolute charm. With his clones rocking flawless goblin cosplay, Lucas grinned like a demon. He essentially just unlocked God mode. Back in the VIP room, Otani's jaw dropped. Mastering the clone technique this fast was insane. What was this kid plotting? Would he just brainlessly power level his classmates again? Spoon-feeding them victories would totally ruin their long-term stats. Meanwhile, on the actual battlefield, the squad found themselves cornered by a massive giant and 3 ugly goblins. Talk about a massive difficulty spike. Their current noob levels could barely handle 2 goblins at once. Suddenly the gamer instincts kicked in. Someone remembered the wiki stats. These goblins were dumber than rocks and painfully slow. The big brain strat was called kite, the hulking giant away and focus fire the squishy goblins while they had the chance. Operation Survive was a go. They sprinted, forcing the brainless green mobs to chase them into a trap. Right as a student almost got chomped, a bro flew in with a flawless dropkick, smashing the goblins straight into the dirt. Sweating bullets, they held the line. In a glorious burst of teamwork, they shoved a blade clean through a goblin's chest. The rookies stood there, absolutely shook. Holy crap, Mr. Seagalt's crazy suicide advice actually worked. The power of friendship was real. Riding that epic adrenaline high, they charged the second goblin with absolute bloodlust. But perched in the shadows, Lucas was munching metaphorical popcorn. That dead goblin. It was literally just his shape-shifting clone. He was secretly running a twisted tutorial mode, tricking his friends into realizing the pure thrill of combat. Flashback a few minutes, Greg and the elitist mage club saw the combat kids get totally swarmed. Blinded by their massive superiority complex, they were practically throwing a premature funeral party for them. Greg smugly waited for the epic fail, but when the underdogs actually snagged the kill, his brain practically blue-screened. The reality check hit Greg like a freaking truck. The tide had officially turned. Those martial arts rejects were now ruthlessly hunting goblins. Combining their strength, they absolutely obliterate the remaining goblin squad. Watching these underdogs crush 2 elite monsters leaves Greg practically foaming at the mouth. Meanwhile, a beaming Seagull uses this epic victory to fire up the rest of the class. The martial artists roar with pride, while the salty mage students aggressively cope, crying pure luck. Suddenly, a mysterious aura dissipates around the victorious squad, making Seagull suspect that Lucas secretly orchestrated this entire miracle. Later, Lucas casually strolls up to Sharp and Collins, who almost cry tears of relief seeing him alive. Blaming a crazy random teleport, our main character asks if they have spotted any other stray teammates. The duo confirms that besides one mysteriously missing squad, the entire martial arts roster is safely waiting at the rally point. Rejoining the main group, Lucas notes their exhaustion, but thankfully everyone survived Chaotic Floor 1 in one piece. Our mastermind knows the victorious goblin-slaying squad will be strutting in any second now. He commands the squad to prepare for advancement. Next stop, the dreaded Floor 2 of the tower. Back outside, the snooty mages are suffocating on their own denial, refusing to accept the martial artists' epic success. They desperately convince themselves that these warriors only advanced by running away like cowards. The absolute copium. Greg practically bites his tongue off in sheer frustration. Even Elite Year 1, mages usually get eliminated on Floor 1, yet this underdog squad effortlessly advanced. Trembling with anxiety, Greg realizes these meatheads are rapidly evolving into a legitimate, terrifying threat to mage supremacy. Reaching Floor 2, the unforgiving tower randomly scatters the entire team. The system adapts to their epic performance. Greater strength directly triggers a far more brutal survival trial. Refusing to lose anyone, our overpowered hero immediately deploys shadow clones to scout for his missing comrades. Sleek shadow wolves sprint into the darkness. Meanwhile, Sharp and Collins suddenly stumble in checking on their legendary leader. Lucas drops the grim news. The area is swarming with monster packs and they are hunting in coordinated death squads. Sharp nods grimly, realizing stealth is completely useless here. But Lucas simply smirks, reminding them this chaotic hellscape is the perfect training ground. Collins pumps his fist in agreement. Retreating now would completely ruin their hard-earned chance to level up. Swoosh, a vicious monster drops from above, aiming directly at Lucas. Boom, a massive dust cloud erupts as his friends scream in terror, but as the smoke clears, our untouchable hero casually brushes off his shoulders completely unharmed. Collins drops his jaw in pure shock. He could not even sense that murderous ambush, yet Lucas dodged it perfectly. Sweating bullets, Sharp mutters that an attack like that would have easily sent him to the afterlife. The ultimate showdown kicks off. The trio locks into formation against the beasts. Slaying a beast, Lucas barks a critical order. They must obliterate this vanguard immediately, or a massive monster tidal wave will mercilessly devour them. But comedic disaster strikes. A totally panicked, Collins realizes his trembling hands actually dropped his trusty dagger. Seizing this hilarious blunder, another fiend lunges. Thankfully, Lucas barks out a split-second warning to save their lives. Clang Sharp perfectly blocks, but the sneaky beast completely disarms him. Seagull was right. Floor 2 monsters play incredibly dirty. These ruthless creatures boast terrifying strength and terrifyingly sinister intelligence. They do not just bite, they tactically ambush from the shadows and literally hijack your gear. But is Sharp terrified? Not a chance. Losing his sword just ignites his blazing urge to punch this thief into oblivion. Bam! The monster eats a devastating hook. Surprise, idiot Sharp secretly equipped heavy combat gauntlets before this dungeon raid began. Exploding forward like a speeding bullet, Sharp roars that absolutely nothing in this tower can match his raw physical dominance. The beast leaps back, narrowly dodging the fatal blow. But the joke is on them. This was a brilliant tactical bait masterminded by our dynamic duo. Popping from nowhere, Collins brutally slices its exposed back. While the monster squeals in agonizing pain, Sharp unleashes a meteor-like punch right through its chest, securing an absolutely flawless victory. Like a proud dad, Lucas claps for their hilarious monster-slaying combo. Standing over his own crushed foe, Lucas points forward. It is time to conquer this floor and force-feed glory to the martial arts department. Meanwhile, in the spectator room, Greg is literally ripping his hair out over 0 martial artist casualties. Logic dictates these rookies should be monster chow by now. Their flawless survival rate defies every single rule of the tower. Snorting maximum copium, the pathetic mages boldly claim the legendary Allen Tower secretly nerfed its own difficulty for these weaklings. But one student shatters the delusion. If the system bugged out, instructors would riot. Meanwhile, on the second floor, Lucas and his team are fearlessly wrecking massive monsters. They smash skeletons and savage wolves. Despite the insane danger, nobody in this crazy squad is backing down. Whenever someone loses focus mid-battle, a teammate instantly covers their blind spot. They hilariously patch up each other's clumsy mistakes, showing off some absolute monster teamwork. Soon enough, Collins and Sharp start groaning about their draining stamina levels. Hearing this complaining, Lucas secretly casts a heroic battle cry, pumping spicy energy straight into their tired veins. This sneaky buff is a secret Ryan family art. Now Lucas smirks, knowing they will definitely clear this floor. Suddenly, a hidden beast drops a nasty sneak attack on Collins and Sharp, completely freezing them in pure panic. Right before they become monster snacks, a random arrow snipes the beast perfectly. Surprisingly, this clutch save came from a rival student passing by. Feeding off this hype, both squads slaughter their targets, farming massive points. Surfing this wave, they genuinely believe the third floor is theirs. Up top, Greg practically soils himself, realizing the entire martial arts squad reached the third floor stairs. Even other teachers are totally losing their minds. These kids are completely shattering normal freshman limits with their insane battle movements. They furiously praise Seagull, demanding to know what crazy steroids he fed these kids. Coping hard, Greg smirks, betting these exhausted students will never actually survive the brutal third floor. He proudly guarantees the system will eject them. Honestly, the kids do look dead tired on the stairs. Some students are literally crumbling, desperately hanging on to their struggling friends. A completely defeated Collins dramatically begs them to leave his heavy body behind. Soon, others hilariously flop down too dramatically, passing the burden onto Lucas. Shockingly, Sharp refuses to quit, screaming that this crazy squad must cross the third floor finish line together. Loving this shonen energy, Lucas hypes up Sharp. He rallies his exhausted team to break through that door as one. Fueled by the power of friendship, everyone burns their very last drop of stamina. They must conquer this floor. Suddenly, the system completely shatters the tension. All 12 heroes reached floor 3. But instantly, an endless monster swarm ruthlessly steamrolls the exhausted squad. The first ejected team cries about the absolute nightmare, claiming invisible enemies just relentlessly bullied them. Hilariously, even the mighty Lucas got completely wiped out. Honestly, he just faked his brutal death to calculate the martial arts department limits perfectly. Ejecting his real body is just his genius way of avoiding annoying spotlights. But plot twist, his sneaky shadow clone remains inside, ready to painfully carry the next squad upward. This big brain play boosts his entire department while he happily stays in the background. Ultimately, Taishi secured 55 massive points while Lucas completely settled for an average 43. Ironically, Lucas completely failed at staying hidden by accidentally making his entire department look legendary. Seeing these meatheads achieve elite tier results absolutely shatters Greg's fragile ego into tiny, pathetic pieces. A furious Greg desperately vows to completely crush these martial artists in both points and floors. Soon the cocky mage class aggressively steps into the tower. They immediately spam their flashiest spells on floor 1 like absolute tryhards. Watching this clown, Sho Otani heavily questions if losing to martial artists is truly a deadly sin. He patiently waits for their higher floor strategies. Sadly, these squishy mages are already throwing their entire mana away. Unsurprisingly, hilarious reports quickly confirm the mages are getting entirely wiped out. Their miserable performance barely scratches the third floor, absolutely ruining Greg's petty master plan. Refusing this embarrassing reality, Greg shakes an examiner, screaming that the tower must be completely bugged. Stepping up, Linda tells Greg to swallow his massive pride and stop throwing a childish tantrum. She coldly reminds him the tower is perfect, playfully asking if his own dusty skills are just heavily decaying. Left completely speechless, a sweating Greg watches his rival Linda casually walk away to chat with Seagal. Turns out Linda was totally hyping up Seagolt for utterly crushing the mage class. Ever the humble Sunbae, Seagolt simply credits his hardworking students for grinding to the top. He smoothly reminds her to go watch her elite class breach the tower. But Linda just shrugs it off. She completely trusts her absolute powerhouse of a squad, especially her top-tier class representative, the absolutely unstoppable Julia. Meanwhile, Julia is busy being her brother's biggest fangirl, claiming he could effortlessly speedrun the crazy fourth floor. The examiner awkwardly interrupts her hilarious glazing session, announcing it is finally time to enter the dreaded tower. Lucas happily cheers her on, specifically reminding her to eat her sweet candy. The examiner raises a major eyebrow at this weirdly specific mid-exam snack break. Julia innocently pops the sugary treat into her mouth, but the examiner does a massive double take. Wait a second, that is a hyper-rare premium pill that rapidly restores magical stamina. He is utterly mind-blown who wastes such an insanely expensive artisan-crafted item on a basic school exam. Crafters who make those are legendary unicorns. Gulp. Julia instantly realizes her sneaky brother totally tricked her again. Deep down, Lucas secretly knows she is already insanely overpowered on her own. But hey, if everyone else is legally doping for the exam, why shouldn't his precious little sister get a massive buff? Armed with this literal cheat code, Lucas smirks, knowing Julia will absolutely dominate. Inside the dungeon, Julia casually drops a devastating lightning nuke. Iwa's jaw literally unhinges in pure shock. Acting like she just swatted a pesky fly, Julia flashes a bright smile, telling her to stick close. Julia completely steamrolls through the terrifying mobs, turning this deadly exam into a totally stress-free premium tour. Teammate Derek is crying happy tears for the free carry, but classic Iwa tries playing it totally indifferent. Iwa brags that in the real world, she would easily mind control these beasts into a battle royale. Julia totally agrees, praising her terrifying potential on a live battlefield. But since these tower monsters are practically brain-dead zombies, her epic mental magic is completely useless, so she painfully settles for playing the ultimate human radar ping. Iwa secretly feels like absolute dead weight. Yet surprisingly, Julia does not utter a single miserable complaint. Instead, she genuinely validates her totally awesome abilities. Classic tsundere Iwa totally brushes past her, proudly claiming she is just generously letting Julia have the main character spotlight. Bam! Iwa suddenly slams on the brakes and Julia violently bumps into her. Iwa suspiciously brushes it off as absolutely nothing. But internally, she is profusely sweating. Her radar is pinging a super weird presence that isn't a monster. They quickly hit the fourth floor, and that totally creepy mystery presence. Yup, it was just stalker brother Lucas lurking the entire time. Back outside, the teachers absolutely lose their collective minds. 3 mere freshmen just casually breach the crazy fourth floor. They loudly shower Linda with glorious praise, but she humbly deflects all the credit straight back to her brilliant students. Eavesdropping, Lucas nods in full agreement. His little sister is just that insanely awesome. Sure, that premium cheat pill gave her a massive mana buff, but conquering those top floors requires pure, unfiltered raw talent. Trusting her raw power, Lucas plays the silent guardian from the shadows. Meanwhile, Julia is busy violently speed blitzing the terrifying dungeon mobs. But watch out, 4 sneaky monsters suddenly spawn right behind her massive blind spot. Just before sudden disaster strikes, Derek finally does something useful and violently roasts them alive. He smoothly claims Julia was just exhausted from her epic third-floor rampage. He cockily steps up to carry the squad, but immediately almost catches a lethal flying arrow straight to his annoying face. Yikes, he barely dodges and frantically scorches them all to ashes. He awkwardly strikes a cool pose, but the girls brutally ignore his pathetic aura farming. No time for pathetic flexing. Iwa screams that a massive high-speed horde is rushing them. They absolutely need to run right now. They desperately sprint for the exit. Clang. Massive, unyielding steel bars suddenly slam down completely, trapping them inside. They whip around in pure, utter panic. A gigantic, terrifying pig boss and a vicious wolf are totally licking their chops in anticipation. It gets infinitely worse. They are completely surrounded by a swarming army of pork choppers and their rabid, drooling wolf minions. Talk about an absolute terrifying nightmare. That cursed metal gate only opens for totally rare metal attribute mages. They are seemingly doomed. But Brainiac Iwa quickly cooks up a desperately crazy high-stakes magical backup plan. A monster lunges for the instant kill zap. Julia perfectly deploys a crackling lightning barrier, violently blasting the ugly brute backwards. Iowa screams basic science. Extreme blistering heat melts steel. It is officially Derek's time to shine and violently melt that massive door. But the terrifying monster horde does not care. They violently crash against Julia's sparking shield. The crushing, overwhelming pressure is absolutely insane, yet Julia fiercely holds her ground. Suddenly she spots Iwa weirdly frozen, magically pressing her staff to her head. Julia desperately screams her name, but Iwa aggressively snaps back that there is zero time for explanations. But Iowa barks out a flawless warning: new targets inbound. Julia reacts instantly, blasting the mob with a lethal shockwave. Meanwhile, Iowa flexes her mental magic, scanning shadows for hidden threats. Sensing their terrifying auras, Iowa sweats. Floor 4 is an absolute nightmare. Reading the battlefield, Iowa commands a strike on the right flank. Julia obediently unleashes hell. But panic creeps in. Julia's mana pool is practically hitting rock bottom. She pants, "I can only lock down the giant." Iowa smirks, "Then hold the line and snipe that wolf later." Target locked, Julia dives straight for the beast. Iowa grits her teeth. It infuriates her to be dead weight while Julia burns her life force away. Crackling with furious lightning, Julia vaporizes the wolf pack, but the towering giant is merely chained. Flashing a cheeky grin, Julia teases, "Can I totally brag about saving you guys like a true class rep once we escape?" Iowa scoffs, "Your ego is already massive." They share a fleeting, desperate laugh. Boom, a hulking nightmare materializes from nowhere, freezing their blood. Iowa curses her carelessness, a stealth ambush. Before she can blink, the beast crushes her down. "Run, Julia," she screams. Witnessing the absolute disaster, Derek desperately blasts open an escape route for their fragile vanguard. Tears well up as Julia begs, "We all leave together." Derek shakes his head. "If your mana runs dry, here we are all dead." The beast roars in fury. Pushed to the brink, Derek ignites a suicidal firestorm. "Go now," he bellows. Slumping into unconsciousness, Derek weakly chuckles to Iowa. "My knightly instincts took over. We put up a glorious fight." Playing the tsundere, Iowa scoffs. "I was just repaying my debt to that idiot. If this tower did not nerf mental magic," she huffs, "I would be soloing this whole place." Watching from afar, Otani smirks. A flawless tactical formation. They covered each other's blind spots perfectly. But Otani knows a terrifying secret. Lucas's phantom clone is still lurking inside. The overpowered main character is sweeping the floors, stalking right behind his little sister. Meanwhile, Julia is sprinting on fumes. Her mana core is screaming, desperate to reach the safe zone. Fueled by sheer willpower, she bulldozes through the horde. Devastating lightning bolts violently clear her path. Lungs burning, vision blurring, she refuses to stop. Her friends laid down their lives for this escape. Whoosh! A mysterious shadow blitzes past her. Instantly, her crippling exhaustion evaporates. Plot twist: it was her overpowered brother, Lucas. He secretly dropped a massive buff on her. The hero's battle cry fatigue vanishes, spirit skyrockets, and stats explode by 30% for 10 glorious minutes. Lucas smirks in the shadows. With those crazy stats, Floor 4 is basically a tutorial for her. But the clock is ticking. The tower seals when the trial ends. Lucas has to speedrun this dungeon immediately. In a flash, he breaches Floor 5, an endless suffocating underwater realm. A lethal aquatic leviathan prowls ahead, but our overpowered hero is on a tight schedule. No time for trash mobs. Using big brain tactics, he spawns a clone, morphs it into an even uglier nightmare, and literally scares the boss away. Flawless stealth mechanics, Lucas easily strolls through the danger zone. 15 minutes pass. The brother-sister duo are absolutely crushing their respective death matches. At the 20-minute mark, Julia collapses into the sanctuary zone. A heavy victorious sigh escapes her lips. Meanwhile, Lucas breaches Floor 6, but instead of monsters, he steps into an eerie, infinite void. Not a single enemy in sight, just an ancient, ominous monument pulsating in the center of the emptiness. He approaches cautiously. Suddenly, his sheer battle aura gets sucked right into the ancient stone. Boom! The relic violently awakens. Blinding golden light erupts, projecting the legendary weapon of Mars. Outside, Otani gasps in pure shock. The crazy kid actually breached Floor 6. It is the martial god's mythic legacy, but disaster looms. Julia's magical reserves are completely dry. The second she passes out, this entire dungeon will lock down forever. Staring into the cosmic light, Lucas witnesses a legendary vision, the war god clashing against a colossal, world-ending evil. The sinister shadow sneers at Mars. "You won the battle," it hissed, "but our seeds of chaos are already buried deep within your world." The demonic villain makes a grand, terrifying promise. Even if tens of thousands of years pass, their dark army will rise again. But Mars is built different. Completely ignoring the villain's dramatic monologue, he casually drops his ultimate technique, Destruction Fang, erasing the guy from existence. Lucas snaps back to reality, cold sweat dripping down his face. Did he just witness a legendary flashback, the ancient battles of the martial god? The timeline is a total blur. But that creepy villain's face. It is permanently burned into his memory. The monster was bragging about planting seeds of chaos. The gears in his head start turning. The Minotaur, those nasty zombie mobs, they must be the literal sprouts from that dead guy's evil seeds. Reaching out to touch the monument for clues, his instincts suddenly scream. A lethal sneak attack is coming right at his back. Dodging with god-tier reflexes, he leaps out of the strike zone. Hilariously enough, the attacker did not even care about him at all. The real target was the monument. In a flash, Lucas is teleported outside the tower. Well, looks like Julia already cleared the whole thing. With the mysterious relic completely destroyed, hanging around Allen Tower feels like a massive waste of time now. Time to pack it up. Suddenly, a strange spark ignites within his core. Witnessing the martial god's legendary technique actually gave him a hidden stat boost. Meanwhile, with Julia safely outside the academy, loudly announces that the freshman trial is officially over and the massive tower is now completely sealed. Thunderous applause erupts as Julia steps out. She is a walking legend, the absolute first freshman ever to conquer the 5th floor. Back in the quiet library, Otani discovers the imposing headmaster already sitting there, just waiting for him. The boss wastes zero time. Give me the full report on the trial. Playing it cool, Otani simply shrugs. Everything went perfectly normal, sir. The headmaster scoffs at that lie. Normal. The mage freshman scores are absolute trash. Half these kids failed to score a single pathetic point. Otani casually adjusts his glasses. 18 zeros this time compared to 12 last year. Honestly, that is completely within our acceptable margin of academic failure. The headmaster is not buying his terrible excuses. Our second floor pass rate literally got sliced in half, he barks. Unbothered, Otani passes the buck. Sounds like a skill issue for Professor Greg and his staff. Frankly, I am amazed, Otani smirks. How did they teach those kids to panic so tragically at the first sign of real danger? Deflecting the blame, Otani claims he was too busy babysitting the mages to even notice the massive glaring anomaly happening over in the martial arts department. This suddenly catches the old man's attention. Wait, what exactly is going on with the meatheads in martial arts? Otani drops the bombshell. 4 of those physical fighters, they somehow shattered their innate bodily limiters right after finishing. They are actively trying to level up as we speak. Professor Seigold is personally supervising their insane breakthrough process. The headmaster's jaw practically hits the floor in disbelief. If true, this changes everything. Does Allen Tower possess a hidden system buff that massively skyrockets a martial artist's growth? Panic sets in. If the public discovers this, absolute chaos will erupt. Millions of desperate fighters would storm the gates just to get a taste of that sweet EXP. Honestly, he would have canceled the trial ages ago. But they desperately need a super talented martial artist to rise up and claim the throne as the tower's next administrator. Sworn to secrecy, the headmaster orders a strict gag rule. Otani nods, sealing his lips. This juicy secret stays locked in the vault. Meanwhile, the newbie mages are throwing an absolute celebration. After all, the glorious new record holder is one of them, Julia. They worship her magical talents, but they are totally disgusted by one tiny detail. Her brother is just a lowly, uncool martial artist. Jeremy overhears the gossip and his blood boils. Why does that absolute nobody? Lucas always managed to steal the spotlight in every single conversation. He is furiously mauling over the fact that they share the exact same bloodline. Later on, Theo struts right into the noisy cafeteria. Expecting his usual fan club, he flashes a brilliantly arrogant smile. Record broken or not, he genuinely believes he is still the absolute undisputed idol of the entire school. But reality hits him like a truck. The moment the crowd spots Julia eating quietly, they instantly ditch him like yesterday's trash. Theo's fragile ego instantly shatters. Fuming with jealousy, he dramatically marches right up to her. He slams his hands down. You might have some talent, but do not get a big head just because you scraped by the 5th floor. But Julia, she gives zero flips. Completely ignoring his angry rant, she just happily continues munching on her delicious lunch. Theo opens his mouth to keep yelling, only to realize the entire student body is already swarming her like obsessed fanboys. Rage quitting the scene, he storms off, screaming about revenge. Blinking in total confusion, Julia turns to her brother. What is that guy's problem? Lucas just pats her shoulder with a calm smile. Do not sweat the small stuff. Just keep eating. The arrogant fool never even realized. His pathetic intimidation trick failed completely because Lucas secretly kept his battle cry active, boosting his sister's mental defense. Mina suddenly pops in, totally shocked that Theo actually vanished without dropping his usual cringy catchphrase. She hypes Julia up as a total prodigy, but our humble main character just nervously credits her teammates for carrying her. Mina then casually wonders if Derek and Iowa have the right stats for the upcoming Goddess Memorial Festival. Cue the completely blank stares. Lucas and Julia have absolutely zero clue what this fancy festival even is. Time for a lore dump. Mina explains their academy is part of the Empire's legendary Big 3 magic schools. Every single year, 9 elite freshmen are tossed into the ultimate tournament arc to crown the supreme genius. Knowing Julia's insane specs, Mina is betting all her money that she will definitely be drafted. Lucas thinks this sounds like prime entertainment, but he really wonders if our lazy heroine even cares to join. Later, Lucas officially resigns as her personal alarm clock. He proudly declares she is finally an independent adult now. Cue immediate disaster. On day 1, she oversleeps and literally spams her ultimate thunder dash just to avoid detention. She violently crashes into Iowa. The Ice Queen just shoots her an absolute death glare, telling her to watch it. Panic mode activated. Julia forgot her textbook, but while she sweats bullets, Iowa suddenly slides her chair uncomfortably close. Like a classic tsundere, she violently slams her book down for them to share. Later, our vertically challenged heroine struggles to reach a top-shelf book. Suddenly, Iowa casually plucks it down for her. Before Julia can even squeak a thanks, Iowa ninja vanishes. Later, Julia begs Lucas for relationship spoilers, but he totally refuses. Later on, Julia catches the usually stoic Iowa totally mesmerized by an old man doing cheap street magic. But when she completely fails to copy the trick, she looks hilariously devastated. Trying to be cute, Julia conjures a magical bird for her, but Iowa violently crushes it, unleashing a terrifying aura that sends Julia screaming. Sneaking back that night, Julia finds the scary Ice Queen already fast asleep. Being an absolute angel, Julia leaves a sweet apology note and an emergency peace offering of cookies begging for a hangout. The cold exterior shatters. Iowa actually smiles at the bribe and agrees to the date. The next day, Iowa shows up super early. But of course, our hopeless main character is late again. Iowa is fully prepared to scold her until she spots the ultimate third wheel, Lucas, tagging along. Julia cheerfully announces Lucas is their walking wallet. Iowa's face instantly screams pure murder, and Lucas totally feels the terrifying killing intent. Because the universe hates Iowa, a wild Maya suddenly blocks their path, asking where the party is heading. Totally clueless, Julia immediately invites her too, and since her crush, Lucas, is going, Maya instantly accepts the quest. The incredibly awkward party finally marches out toward Darktown's famous gourmet street. The girls celebrate their free meal, while Lucas silently weeps for his soon-to-be utterly annihilated bank account.